Hey, it's the Redeye Stream number 138. YouTube goes all in for the mainstream media. They're actually going to subsidize these people, and that's not the thing that really bugs me the most. All right, they're going to throw $25 million at these media companies who already know how to produce video. They've been producing video for 30 years. Why exactly do they need YouTube's money? And why do they need $25 million to learn how to make a YouTube video? I paid for a $30 program, and I have a $90 microphone. That's it. It didn't take $25 million to get my YouTube channel up and running. Now, I mean, the real insidious part of this, though, is the fact that they're going to bury the competition in the algorithm. So, major earthquake hits California. Part of California falls in the goddamn ocean. I'm reporting on it live from Oregon, you know, if I'm still alive, because who knows how bad that shit would be. And I live in the Cascades. You know, maybe I'm reporting on a volcano that's erupting close to my house or something. What if I'm on the scene of the fucking disaster? I'm still going to be buried within the algorithm for the likes of Tucker Carlson, for the likes of Maddow, for these pieces of crap who aren't even maintaining the audience that they have on cable network, much less competing in a fair and open YouTube. But now it's not going to be fair and open. As Styx put it, it's affirmative action. And it's affirmative action for the elites already. I mean, we're talking about the CNNs, the MSNBCs. I mean, isn't there something wrong with YouTube turning on their content creators and just stabbing another knife in our back? I mean, why don't you use that $25 million to fix the goddamn algorithm? How about that? Go ahead, MC.
They are fixing the algorithm, making sure that you can't speak. Isn't that what the whole purpose of the algorithm's for?
Fair fucking point. Maybe maybe it's good that they're just throwing that $25 million out the window, because that's all they're fucking doing.
Well, yes, basically you're right. They are just throwing it because, like, as I was saying to you earlier, right? They already are, as you pointed out, content creators. They know how to make videos. They do it all the time. So how are they going to compete on YouTube? What are they going to try and do? Flash? Are they going to, you know, try and change things up? You know, maybe become a little bit edgier, as Stick likes to say, edgy. No, I don't think that that's what they're going to do. And even if they did, it wouldn't work because their content really wasn't changing. The reason people come to Styx, the reason people come even to your channel, my channel, right, is to hear things that they hadn't heard before. Take a look at things from a different point of view. It isn't just the people who reported it first, or the people on the scene. Yes, that, you know, everyone wants to see the scene reporter, right? And you probably should have taken a more positive spin when you were talking about, you know, reporting on the volcano. Instead of that, you should have been talking about how you have your feet sitting, you know, dipping in the sand of what used to be California is now a lake.
Yeah, I got a new fishing hole.
You know, I mean, you got to put a positive spin on it. Not to say that that's exactly what would happen, but you know, if you're going to borrow trouble, I mean, there's no reason to borrow it early. But no, I mean, this isn't going to work, and it's from the effect that they're trying to do. Now, their comment was, of course, they're trying to stop fake news, but they don't realize people understand that the real fake news is the mainstream media. Right, they're the ones that are giving the same content. They're the ones that are getting railed on about the content. No one's taking a look at content that you know was false. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, there are times when a meme come out or Twitter will come out and people will start questioning, where the hell is this? Is this real? And it turns out that no, it's somebody, you know, put it together and it's false. All right, that's the nature of Twitter. Right, you got to make sure that, okay, am I right about this? Is this real, or is this an actual fake content? And there are times that even I've been fooled. I mean, I'm not impervious to it, but to say that that's any different than anybody in the press, I mean, the press gets fooled all the freaking time.
Well, I was about ready to say, look at how many retractions the New York Times has had to make, not even over the years, but, you know, this year. I mean, they mess up all the time.
Well, they're not even trying to hide now. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, to me, They at one time they would put out retractions. Nowadays they don't even care to even do that. They don't give a shit. You know, I mean, but that which is another an issue in and of itself. All right. I mean, today in a tweet, all right, I put out a guy stood up there and was tweeting something about the Syrian chemical attack, right? Basically an organization that supposedly, you know, for the non-proliferation of chemical weapons has come back and said there was no nerve agent. There's no evidence of nerve agent being used in Doma, all right, in Syria, right, where we launched our last attack. But what we used to launch our last attack with the missile strike. All right, we said that there was chemical weapons, but the guy tweeted saying there was no chemical attack, but that's not what the report says. The report says it's just that they can't prove there's any nerve agent used. Not that there wasn't a chemical attack or chlorine attack, right? It's just that, and they said, well, the chlorine stuff that we found, there could be other reasons for it to be there. You know, it could come from other chemicals, household chemicals. Well, yeah, it could, but it could also come from a chemical attack as well. So that, unfortunately, there's what basically they're saying is there may have been a chemical attack. We don't believe that there was a nerve agent attack because there's no evidence of a nerve agent being used, but there could still have been a chemical attack. Okay, but if you put out a tweet saying there was no chemical attack, okay, you're putting out false news, because that's not what the record says, and that's not what the report said, right? And it may seem like a small point, but when you're doing it to ramp up emotions and emotional context, all right, or to justify your position, and you use these kind of little nuanced little games, it's the same thing that the mainstream media had been doing, and it's the thing that everyone was railing against.
Well, yeah, it's the same reason why they jump on every shooting story that they can, unless, of course, it turns out that the shooter was a leftist. You know how some senators and congressmen, got shot at a fucking baseball practice. It's quite funny how quickly that disappeared from the fucking news, isn't it? Within days. But you still have people talking about that Florida douchebag that I refuse to mention his name live on air ever again. I mean, what the fuck is going on here? But it gets even worse. Okay, so I watched Computing Forever, his video on this YouTube bullshit as well, right before we went on air. That way it was fresh in my head, and I can get some other people's ideas on it before I commented. And he read through the whole thing. And what's really interesting is they rolled it out today as well, that if you go to the YouTube search and you type in moon landing conspiracy, usually that's because you're bored and you want to watch a conspiracy video. Well, now they're going to have a little Wikipedia link pop up with it saying this is fake news and here's the real story of the moon landing. Well, I'm pretty sure everybody that's typing for that conspiracy already fucking knows we landed on the goddamn moon. Okay? They're not retarded. They're bored, and they want to watch a conspiracy video. Right? I mean, we don't need Wikipedia and Encyclopedia Britannica shoved down our throat when we just want to watch a fucking conspiracy video. You don't have Encyclopedia Britannica popping up on the History Channel when they're doing the same conspiracy content, the same fake news, the same bullshit, ancient alien theory debunked on next, right after Ancient Aliens. No, it doesn't happen that way.
Well, that's true. All right. But then again, if you're asking if people are stupid, yeah, there's plenty of stupid people out there. All right, you want to talk about conspiracies. There's lots of conspiracies out there. There's people who still believe all sorts of conspiracies. All right. They don't have any real proof. They have, conjecture, and everything comes down to conjecture. For crying out loud, if you start talking about the JFK assassination, all right, what it really comes down to at this point is nothing but conjecture. You've got questions that are asked, why this or why that, and then you try to say, okay, how can I fit this puzzle together and make it all fit into a nice seamless little ball, all right? But the reality is there is no nice seamless little ball, all right, for you to put anything in, and there's no real evidence to say, say whether or not, what really happened there or what didn't. You have the same evidence that you see time and time and time again, and people look at it and come to different conclusions. The same thing you and I recently did, a few months ago on is Hitler still alive, or did Hitler escape Germany? Right, where the guy sits there and shows a picture of a supposed Hitler person in 1964. Or I think it was 60,
I know, and I buy that story. You don't. Yeah, exactly. And we looked at the same facts. I buy that. I think he got out of there. But whatever.
And you were wrong then, of course, and you're wrong now.
Well, the CIA even thought that he got out. That's what we were talking about, was the release.
They said they were releasing data and how data gets released. That was not the assessment of the CIA. They said these here's some of the stuff that comes to us and what we have to sift through. And that goes to another point, though. When you start talking about evidence in the intel community, most people just think that, everyone just is able to listen on any conversation and hear anything and know everything, and they've got everybody's phones tapped, and they know what you ate for lunch and breakfast and dinner, and they've got all your financial records and all of this. And the reality is that there's too much information to do that kind of stuff. But in fact, there's so much information flow coming into many of these agencies that sometimes it's very hard for them to sit up there and differentiate between, okay, what I'm trying to analyze and what I'm not trying to analyze. And as a result, one of the biggest discrepancies that always happens, and this isn't endemic just to the U.S. intelligence agencies, this is to all of them, is you start to develop processes, and the processes become important simply because it gives you a way of narrowing or winnowing down the information flow. But when you do that, whenever you do something like that, that process then opens up gaps that can be exploited once they're known. All right, and those exploitations can lead to failures to see things that should have been obvious when you look at it in retrospect. 9/11 is an example of it.
Well, no, and I tend to agree with you. When you're getting so much information at once, it's finding a needle in a haystack. But to get back to YouTube, taking another pot shot at its content creators, why exactly does CNN need to be filtered to the top? If you want to watch a CNN newscast, isn't there a 24/7 live CNN fucking live stream? I know Fox News has a couple.
Well, what they're trying to do, let's be honest, YouTube is trying to transition. They're trying to transition themselves into some kind of working television cable channel, into a cable company of some sort, or, that type of environment to where people are paying them money to go and see YouTube. That's what the whole YouTube Red and everything has been an attempt to do. Okay. Is it working out? Well, no. But now I'm going to be real blunt with you guys. The reason that things like YouTube Red and all these other things aren't working out has less to do with the idea being necessarily poorly done or a bad idea, and more to do with the fact that they're not giving it time, all right, to actually explore, okay, are we doing this correctly? Is this the way we want to do things? Now, every business, whenever it comes into this kind of a situation where it has to make a major change, all right, we'll run into this problem, which is, okay, you're making a change, but how long do you stick with that change if the change doesn't seem to be working or isn't working out the way you expect it to? All right, do you continue to throw good money after bad? Go ahead.
Well, no, and you can go, just real quick, it's not going to work because YouTube was built by its small content creators, by, as Styx likes to say, the weird side of YouTube, which is the conspiracy side, which is stupid ass prank channels. It is, fucking drama alert and all that horse shit. That's what YouTube really built itself on, and it's gigantic now. Is it making money? No. But it is still staying afloat with the help of Google. And I really don't think they should rock the boat unless they want to sink their own fucking company. Because you do have BitChute on the outside looking at them like, oh, you're fucking up. We're going to do what you used to do, and we're going to get all your fucking people eventually. You have Gab AI fucking with a live streaming capability and really trying to compete with Twitter. I mean, the alt tech is there, and it will get better as people flow to it.
I agree, and I agree that that's what. But it'll become something completely different, and YouTube at that point will probably go the way of MySpace. To be honest.
And it's starting. Yeah, no, and it's starting to look more and more like that's what's going to happen, and that's really. I've only been here a year and a half, going on year number 2, and that makes me sad. I was expecting to have a nice, 5 years, 10 years on YouTube, like other people have, like Sticks, like. A lot of other content creators have been around for a very long time, but it looks like we're going to have to jump ship within a year and a half, and head full time over to BitChute, the Gap.
What is the purpose of your channel? I mean, why are you doing things on your channel? The other question that has to be asked by Google and has to be asked by these guys is what is it? Why do they want YouTube? Okay. What is the advantage for Google, for example, for keeping YouTube? All right. I don't know the answer to some of those questions. Now, I may not want to know the answer to some of those questions either. All right. It could be very simple that they're using it to gather data on people, and it's a great data gathering or data mining accessory that they have. All right. I don't know if people really looked at it from that standpoint, but it does sit up there and give them massive amounts of data, metadata that they could then utilize from a not on a person by person level, but on an overall generic level. When you start examining, content, okay, what kind of content does people in the United States like? What kind of content do the people in the United States in this area like? All right, when it comes to YouTube, what kind of videos do they find amusing? What kind of things like that? All that can be utilized and then sold as marketing information to a lot of larger businesses. Right, to do this kind of targeting, and I think that initially that's probably what YouTube was created for. The problem came about, of course, when they came up with their process for, okay, how are we going to put videos out, or how are we going to put, I mean, not videos but commercials out. Right, when these people wanted to say, okay, I'm selling you so much commercial time on these types of channels, and of course these channels in some cases would put out racy or edgy, commentary, and all of a sudden other people would scream racism or scream Nazi, and then the advertisers would freak out and shy away. They never let it fully develop. And instead of looking at all this, or when like for example when the Wall Street Journal came out with that whole thing on PewDiePie. What YouTube should have done is they should have said, suck eggs. They should have looked at Wall Street Journal and said, we don't care what you say. If somebody finds something on a channel that they don't like, they can just let us know and we'll make sure it doesn't go on that channel again. Okay. But see, the problem that they had is they're a Silicon Valley outfit. They have an SJW agenda, so they overreacted. But look at what's happening now to these people that overreact. The pushback is more massive now. All right, when people are doing this kind of freaking ridiculous commentary, you want to start a boycott on people. People will turn it right around on you and boycott you. Okay, and so it turns into a lose-lose situation. Instead of just saying, look, there's a lot of things that we don't agree with people's channels. We're just doing this on YouTube, and sometimes the way YouTube has it, our stuff's going to play on channels with content that we don't always agree with. Do you think Lucille Ball freaking agreed with all the commentary from the advertising that the Lucille Ball show sold? You're crazy. All right, but back then, they understood. Selling product is selling product. Okay, you didn't cut off your nose to spite your face. It's only the new SJWs that think that there's something grand and glorious about sticking to your guns and your principles and things like that. I mean,
well, yeah, go ahead.
And I'm talking about from a marketing perspective, when you're trying to sell product, that they're now trying to assign, things with products, and they've always been like that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that was the whole reason people were boycotting Nestle back in the 1970s. Okay. It also, I mean, recently the United States basically killed a UN resolution on breastfeeding. Did you see that?
Yeah, sorry, I was checking the chat. Yeah, I did see what yeah.
Okay, well, I sit up there and got into another little Twitter spat with some people about that. Okay. Surprise, surprise, I'm in a Twitter spat with people. But the Twitter spat was basically the reason they killed the UN resolution had nothing to do with because the UN resolution really had nothing to do with breastfeeding. What it had to do with was they were going to go after, you know, breast milk manufacturers and try and make their lives more miserable.
Nobody ever gets angry on Twitter.
Oh, I get angry all the time, especially at memes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Fair enough.
Well, no, and the thing is, MC, I don't buy the moral grandstanding by these advertising firms. Oh my God, my fucking ad for fucking LifeLock or whatever the fuck it is this fucking random time, because I still have YouTube Red. I haven't seen an ad in 3 months. I keep forgetting to cancel.
Beautiful thing.
Fucking Cobra Kai, man. That's what got me.
Dude, I started watching that. It is excellent.
About time. I thought you told me about it, and then I watched the whole fucking thing in one day, and I came to talk to you about it, and you're like, I don't remember telling you about that show. I'm
Wait, what the hell did I tell you about that?
I swear to God, you told me about the Karate Kid show, and then I looked it up, and I was like, no shit.
Either I was thinking of something else, or for some reason I'm like, well, I think I was memeing Cobra Commander.
But no. But no, I really don't buy the moral grandstanding from these advertising.
Well, why are they doing
because
it?
It's not moral grandstanding. It wasn't moral grandstanding. It was fear. All right.
No, it was video.
They would.
And then they're like, no.
They would generate. What would happen is that they would generate a tweet storm. All right, and make it look like there's hundreds of thousands of people that are upset at a specific product line, causing that product manufacturer, if they weren't savvy enough, right, to understand that this is just the way of certain people now, right, they would freak out and they would say, okay, well, I've got to do something. I've got to cancel my advertising, all right, on this channel. Now, what you have to remember is this has been an effective technique for decades. The left has been doing this for a long time. This isn't new. All right, they've been able to shut down a lot of freaking conservative channels by just doing this kind of activity. And if anybody doesn't think that it's effective, just take a look at the Roseanne Barr show. All right, these things can still be very these kind of techniques can still be very effective.
Aren't they bringing it back though without Roseanne?
They are.
Then it's not the Roseanne.
What would be
it's going to be the John. It's going to be the John. Well, memes. It's going to be the John Goodman show, and believe me, I like John Goodman. He's one of my favorite actors. But the thing is, my wife loves Roseanne. She loves the old show. She loved the new show. Yeah. She will not be watching it next year when Roseanne is not on it. She is refusing. She said it's fucking stupid and it's not Roseanne anymore.
Well, it's not. It's like MC said. It's not the Roseanne Barr show or Roseanne without Roseanne. Because, I mean, like, let's face it, 2.5 Men tried to do this with Charlie Sheen. And, I mean, Ashton Kutcher, he made a valiant effort, but he's not fucking Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, he doesn't have the tiger blood, all right?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Well, no. Well, here's the thing, and just let me come at it from, like, a business standpoint, and let me give an example of how you kind of overcome it. So why are the corporations doing this? Because it's like MC said, all of a sudden they see all this activity on the social medias and they see a bunch of comments that aren't good. You know, within those comments, there are also folks defending it as well, but your eyes are drawn to the folks that have blue check marks and stuff that are obviously important people that are commenting on such things. So when that's happening, they're like, oh crap, we need to distance ourselves, just sever all ties. And essentially, because let's face it, dude, they have a fiduciary duty to their stockholders to maximize profit. If they're driving the stock into the ground and the potential future of their company as far as like they're concerned, like that's terrible. Just distance yourself. I think one of the best responses we saw to this was actually when a lot of folks were going out, gunning for the NRA, like pun intended, I suppose. But literally, like a lot of these companies were pulling like their NRA like associations and stuff, and then it came to FedEx. And FedEx,
I don't want to.
Let me just finish this one point real quick. And FedEx came on and they said, "Listen, it's like." Well, they had their standard statement about this, but it's like we genuinely hold to value like our contracts, our associations, and we have no plans to sever ties. It was an adult way to do it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though. I really think that the ad companies could just say we don't necessarily support anything that our ads run on, because where's it going to stop? Okay, you have ads running on FX, or is it Spike or FX that plays 1,000 Ways to Die? How much more violent of a TV show can you possibly get? I mean, it's literally every episode, half an hour long, so it's like 20 minutes with ads, is just people being stupid, blowing their brains out, mixing mustard gas on accident in the fucking trailer bathroom in the toilet. I mean, a bunch of stupid shit and people dying. And then at the very end, they show one guy that survives. And it's usually like a surfer attacked by a shark and he lived. But how much more violent can you get if you had a YouTube channel called 2,000 Ways to Die, where some fucking idiots in the backyard were reenacting stupid shit with some crappy FX? Then, you know, it would be banned and it would be called violent. But they want to bring Fox News and CNN into the mainstream of YouTube, you know, always trending at the top, you know, go watch these guys, when they show live footage of drone strikes. I mean, it's a double standard, and that's what I'm railing against and what's really irritating the fuck out of me.
Oh, they're grandfathered in.
It's bullshit, and I don't see how even you could stay in the center on this one, Memes. This is bullshit.
Well, let's face it. Has anything like this affected us?
It was rolled out today. It will start affecting us, and I doubt I'll hit 2,000 subs this year. I'll be shuffled to the bottom, and it'll be hard for growth.
Wait. Hold on. My roommate just delivered a Mexican pizza. My headphones were still plugged in. So wait, what the heck's going on? I heard there was some new changes or something. I haven't looked at it yet.
Okay, MC, you want to give a quick overview? Because I'll start ranting about it again. Tell them what the changes are real quick.
Basically, what they're doing is they're paying CNN and these other guys to create content. They're giving them $25 billion to create.
Wait, what? I'd like $25 million. I'll create content for that.
All right. To these companies to learn how to talk into YouTube, and they're going to place a priority because they're not considered fake news and we are. They're going to make it so that basically the search engines will bring them to the top of these searches rather than like you, me, or whatever else was trending on a specific subject.
Well, they would factor into the algorithm by subs and stuff. So if they have a million, yeah, they would tend towards the top of many things, but that it just should be a sheer metrics and just
no, but that's not what they're doing. They're intentionally saying, well, these other guys engage are not considered news stories. They're like for lack of a better term, an aggregate area. Well, these other people have actual, reporters reporting in, so therefore they're actual news. So because they're actual news, they're going to get basically an algorithm advantage, all right, in when people are doing searches and when people are looking for things.
Is reporting on the president's tweets or just tweets in general on Twitter considered reporting?
Are you a frickin' pool reporter?
Well, no, I'm just saying it does count if you work at MSNBC. That's their bread and butter. But the thing is, though, like what happens with tagging the tags when you make a video? Like when I made this stream, I tagged YouTube and other shit. Is there even a point doing that now? Because you're still just shuffled to the bottom, even if your tag game is on point. You know what I mean?
Well, what ends up happening? People shift through those, and they're like, I don't like this news, I don't like this thing. If you just keep scrolling, you're going to come across the folks you want. So if folks are actually seeking that, they'll literally condition themselves into continuing to do that.
Well, and
I
that's
think the thing
where,
is for other folks or folks that may not be logged in, where it's just like, oh, what the heck's going on?
but that's where they're going to fail. That's the reason why these you know, CNN and these legacy media sites are going to fail, because people are intentionally trying to avoid them. There's a great misunderstanding that people that are coming to the internet to get news and to listen to content providers like Styx, like H.A. Goodman, like Tim Pool, right? That the reason that they're going to them is they're just finding these guys on accident. No, they're not finding these guys on accident. They're finding these guys intentionally, because they're intentionally trying to avoid getting news from the quote-unquote mainstream media. They're looking for alternative sites because they no longer trust the alternative sites' news. They want a secondary, third check, fourth check, etc. And then if they like that style of news and that content that they're getting, they stick with that individual. It's the same reason why, to be honest, I stick with some of the people that I listen to. It's one of the reasons why I still to this day watch H.A. Goodman. I disagree with a lot of what H.A. Goodman says. I disagree with a lot of what Styx Hexenhammer and Tim Pool both say. All right. But that doesn't mean I don't like their content, because overall I do like their content. I tend to like their style. I like their style more so than I like Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. And that's why they're going to fail, because it's about the content itself. And this is what the mainstream media does not understand, and what they will refuse, and what they're refusing to accept. The problem isn't how they package news. The problem is the news they're packaging. It's their content.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, man. It's so easy. Just if you just consider you're this average Jane, Dick, or Sally or something, it's like you're going on the internet, you're cruising through. You don't actually have a YouTube account. You see these different things. You're like, okay, CNN. You browse through a little bit. You find somebody. Maybe you hear somebody on a stream or something. Maybe you check out their channel. All of a sudden, you find somebody, and it's like, all right, you had a journey going there. And I think it's kind of the same thing with like the mainstream news. Because don't get me wrong, dude. You both have to admit, like, there are some folks out there that are still pretty respectful. We tend to agree with some of those folks more. But even in the mainstream, see, I would prefer to see a bit more of a fusion. Just seeing more Tim Pool on like the different networks, and just have it just slowly over time just transition over to like IP based everything. Because even a lot of teleproviders now, they're working off of IP based TV, which is basically just widen the broadband pipe rather than to have all those different channel frequencies. So it has pluses, it has minuses, but it's like that's just the way technology is progressing. And it's like we just seem to be fighting each other. Like even on the YouTubes, you'll know certain content creators that talk about certain similar things. They may be pretty big. Maybe they don't necessarily want to rock the boat. Maybe they don't want to get into a fight. So they just ignore each other. Like Stefan Molyneux and Sargon of Akkad would barely ever mention each other. And then bad things happen. Bad events end up bringing folks together. So also it's like, holy shit, Sargon's and Stefan. I'm like, all right, checking this out. No, but MC, you're right. It's like we now have the ability to find like very tailored things that we like. And it's like, yeah, it's almost like seeking out an archetype of the dude or dudette or zudette or whatever that you want to just listen to.
Right, but you're not going to. The thing is they're not going to gain the mainstream media, though, is not going to gain in popularity doing this. Okay, the reason people are the YouTube community as it exists currently, right, as the other demographic, the older demographic that watches, the cable news, as they slowly fade because age, all right, the newer generation is there. The problem is they're not going to catch this newer generation. The mainstream media isn't going to be able to pick these people up, and the reason is because they've lost their trust. All right, let's be perfectly frank. Nobody wants to watch. Young people don't want to watch CNN News, not because CNN News isn't exciting. All right, CNN News used to be the exciting thing that people did want to watch. Well, why did they want to watch it? Well, first of all, it started with the bubble-headed bleach blonde that came on at 5.
What, Anderson Cooper came on later?
Bobby Batista.
Oh, I'm sorry, Platinum. Sorry.
Well, you may remember this. I don't know, but back in the day when CNN first started off with the 24-hour news network, they were brand new. All right, this was new. You didn't have internet news. Now that you have internet news, however, one of the problems that they have with internet news is Your news sources are so broad now, it's hard to create a narrative, all right, on any kind of broad scale. It can happen. It does happen from time to time, but it's not like it used to be where they could drive the narrative. They could just choose what the narrative was going to be for that day and drive it. They can no longer do that. And they have yet to change. They have yet to be able to look at their own content and say, you know what, our content is lacking. And as long as they have that philosophy, as long as their philosophy is there's nothing wrong with our content, they're not going to change their content. And as a result, they're going to continue to hemorrhage viewers. And yeah, they can move platform. They can jump onto the IP. I mean, let's be honest. There is a channel for CNN. There's an IP channel for CNN. Okay. Nobody watches it. All right. I think it has less viewers than Styx does.
They have about 3.2 million subscribers, and most of their, or many of their videos get like 2,000, 2,500 views.
Yeah, whereas you can, I mean, for crying out loud, you almost get 2,000 people watching frickin' H.A. Goodman live when he goes live and does a live stream. Right? I mean, so they're not gonna compete in this realm this way. Okay, because they won't change their content.
Yeah, but what about the small crossover that is occurring? You have Lionel. Obviously, you know, Lionel Nation is his YouTube channel. And he's one of the people that get like 2,000-3,000 almost every live stream, actively watching and chatting in there. Sometimes the chat goes so quick, even on slow mode, you can't even keep up. But he goes on RT all the time. I mean, he does go over to the mainstream a little bit, even though RT's kind of on the outside of the mainstream media, at least in the US. They're kind of, you know, the other guy.
It's not that they won't, that people like him won't go on other channels. I mean, I'm going to be perfectly frank. I fully believe that if Styx got invited to go on CNN, he would go on CNN. If he got invited to go on Fox News, he would go on Fox News.
Without a shirt.
Okay, without a shirt, with or without a shirt. All right. However, he could get away with it.
No, dude, dude, I'll be straight up, man. I saw Styx link to Sargon when I think he was under 20,000. And I'm like, 6 hexahammer. So my initial thoughts, I'm like, oh, I'll probably like a say in this or something. Not that I even know what the hell that actually was at the time. So I clicked on him. Video comes up, my dude's like, doesn't have a shirt on. I'm like, all right. I'm listening. I'm like, I'm closing this tab. I'm going to something else. And then he got on, what was it? The Crowd and Tea, and I think it was Naked Ape at the time podcast, and they were his special guests. And it was a podcast, and I was listening to it at work, and I'm like, oh, I like listening to this dude. And then a lot of times I just listen, and now it's like, oh, it's just Styx.
Well, and I will say one more thing that does point out something to me that I hadn't really considered before in any depth, but I probably should have. One of the biggest differences between certain mediums, right? For example, radio. Radio is a non-visual medium. It engages a different aspect of the brain. Okay, as a result, okay, you tend to be more listening for logical context, all right, rather than emotional kind of text that you see from a visual medium. Okay. And when you think about that from a Styx standpoint, with YouTube, the reality is how many times, let's be frank here, how many times do you turn on a YouTube channel, right, to listen to somebody, and then you're busy doing something else on your computer while you're listening at the same time? So it's kind of, you can watch him and you can also listen to him, both depending upon how you want to do it with that day, do it during that day. All right. It's kind of like people before, if you could put the TV in the background, but see, then you weren't really paying attention to the TV in the background nearly as closely as you are to like the radio.
Well, it all depends on like your level of what you're focusing on at the moment and the level of resolution at which you're exposed to. Like if you're having a one-on-one conversation with eye contact with somebody, well, you're having a full-on experience, whereas, like you said, a radio or a TV in the background, that's a different.
Right, but the advantage of YouTube, of course, is if you hear something and it catches your ear, right, where it snaps you back into what's going on with this, you can easily go right back, open up that window, all right, that you had minimized somewhere, right, and then go back a little bit to see what you missed.
Well, MC, exactly, and. It goes even beyond that a little bit, because especially with YouTube Red, one of the reasons why like I got it, aside from like the 330 days, is being able to minimize it. Because at that point, it turns my smartphone to pocket radio, where I feel like they should have this on normal YouTube anyway. But if you minimized it, you didn't have to, and you have to go through kind of like loops to like rewrite it. It was a pain in the ass, or you'd have to download it. But with that, you just listen to it. You have no ads, and you just listen to whatever you want. It basically turns every video you have the potential to turn into a podcast and use minimal data. So it opens up the ability to use it mobily without killing yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And almost every day when I'm playing a game, I have YouTube on. I pick a documentary or a historical lecture out. And if it's a couple hours long, I hit play and I go play my game for a couple hours while I'm, you know, listening to actual intellectual fucking lecture or a documentary or something, you know, while I'm just dicking around playing Civ. You know what I mean? It's pretty nice.
So, MD, so what you're saying is you're Sargon minus 800,000 subscribers.
Yeah, I should start recording that shit, really. I mean, Sargon gets okay views on his Civ 6 videos. So, when I get that...
out different groups and stuff associated. Think about the path, how you met certain people on the internet.
Yeah, no, and I'll have a better computer in... Oh, I'm counting down till the 24th, so 14 days, and I'm going to have a badass computer. I'm excited. I almost bought a Suburban last night, but I offered 12. She said 1,500, and I said no. I don't have 1,500 to blow right now. We already have a car, so. But it's a nice Suburban.
They are nice. It will just cost you like $10 to go anywhere.
Yeah, and I live 50 or 60 miles from town. I need I need like a pickup that gets better gas mileage. That Suburban will kill me.
You need a Prius or an Escort.
No,
you're
those
right.
are too small.
That's something else about YouTube that's very, very effective that most people don't realize. YouTube is often used. In fact, one of the things that I do for work all the time is I use it as a learning platform. There's a lot of information on YouTube, all right, that people can learn from. Now, there's a lot of crap out there too. I'm not going to lie to you, but there's a lot of information that you can look for on YouTube, and it is at many times. You're going to get a better education if you really want to desire it going through freaking YouTube than you will be going to college.
That's how the Barefoot Bandit learned how to fly a plane.
As I apply it to Mad Dodge.
Is that how the Barefoot Bandit learned how to fly that plane?
That's what he told them. When they asked him, how the heck did you learn how to fly a plane? He's like, YouTube.
That's fucking amazing.
I don't know, but it's exactly like a
hero for like a year while he was on the run. That dude was my hero.
I'm gonna laugh about a lot of things, but I want you guys to know about that. A lot of people forget there was a time frame when somebody had to fly for the first time. Who was teaching them how to fly for the first time? They had to be able to do it on their own. And the technology that we have today makes flying so much simpler now than it was back then. And if a person could just, pick it up on their own and learn how to fly, I think that pretty much almost anybody could fly. Landing could be an issue, all right, especially for people like me that have very little depth perception. All right, wow. You might not want to see that, but
well, as long as your altimeter is programmed in feet and not meters.
I got it. Even though I dropped out of flight school, I bet you I could fly better than you. We're changing the dual rules, and it's now it's now a airplane race, and you have to take off, fly. We'll race for 30 miles or something, and then land at another small airport. And matter of fact, I got the airports picked out. We'll take off from the Eugene Airport.
Oh, he knows the air currents and everything. Oh, dude, here's the thing. At this point, MD has become the master of that particular domain because he did it.
But yeah, and there's a little tiny airstrip up here that they use for wildfires. They use
Mad Dodge,
the helicopters.
Mad Dodge. I want you to think of something before you agree to something so foolish.
Oh, you're gonna drone me.
If drones are done by wire. Yeah, I'm climbing into the plane, and while you're taking off, I'm climbing out of the plane. All right, while the plane is taking off with my video camera.
MD, snip the zip line. He can't get the drone to you then.
Oh shit! Sorry, viewers. There's a nice little running joke. So if you watch the Redeye regularly, you know what we're talking about. If not, you know,
recorded. I want to see barrel rolls.
We should always do a barrel roll, but wait a second. What's the joke?
It's a running joke about dueling. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I remember something way back in the day, like Pistols at Dawn. You just keep on throwing out all these exact specific classes and specifications of weapons.
But no, I think. Oh no, and you know we're joking. We were just joking about dueling and stuff. But what about what YouTube did to the gun channels? They all had to move to fucking Pornhub. I mean, what the flying fuck? Like. And that's something like you used to be able to go on YouTube. You could look up disassemble and reassemble AR-15. And if you just bought a brand new AR-15 and you don't want to sit there and read instructions, you could watch the video, follow along, and disassemble and reassemble your firearm and get to know it better. Now you can't do that. Now you're going to have a bunch of idiots with guns that don't even know how to fucking properly clean their weapon or do anything with it.
Hold on. I mean, MD, does this go back to what like MC was saying, like how it's so much knowledge and stuff you can learn on YouTube?
Yeah, and now they're purging the knowledge. Exactly. Yeah, that is where I'm wrapping this back into the main topic. Yeah.
Well, MD, would you say when you were searching for those gun channels that are no longer there for how to like clean your like firearms in a responsible way, like are those gone? Like, was that useful to you?
They purged all the gun channels, did they not? I mean, I'm sure there's a couple that escaped the purge and are just waiting to be flagged.
But no. What I'm saying, man, is would you say they're like restricting your pursuit of happiness?
Yes, but they are a private entity. That can't be ignored. They are a private entity. For all the bitching I am allowed to do on this platform, which is theirs, I'm not breaking their rules. Therefore, nothing should happen, and they shouldn't put me at the back of the line. It shouldn't, no soup for you is what I keep fucking hearing from YouTube.
So you're being discriminated against?
I wouldn't go that far. I hate using those,
I love you, MD. You are a true libertarian. I respect that.
Are you being discriminated against when you don't allow people in your store who don't have any shoes or shirt?
Well,
the hippies might feel like they're being discriminated against.
Well, no. To be fair, it's why do we have those rules? It's like, okay, you can absolutely make that assumption, but is it reasonable? Like when we say like we believe in free speech,
but as soon as you use that term, that's a euphemistic term that applies differently to everybody. As soon as you start using wishy-washy terms like reasonable, what's reasonable?
That's a great question and a very difficult answer.
Right, and that's where a lot of this stuff starts to when you start dealing with it from a very technical perspective, where a lot of the stuff begins to fall apart. Right?
No, dude. I hear you, and it's. I'm sorry to cut you off, MC, but it's just that's the point. This is where I think like culture like plays a big part. Like whatever the current culture is, should you dramatically shift it? Like what are the reasons? Like there should be good reasons and stuff. If there aren't really very as objective as we can get reasons for it, then it's like I don't know. Like you said, it's very wishy-washy. I hate it, but it's kind of the best we got right now.
Well, if you create a specific regulation, which no shirt, no shoes, no service is very specific, then it's a lot clearer, all right, and you have a lot better chance to sit up there and making something like that stick, because you can just simply say, look, I consider it offensive, and the people that come into my store consider it offensive, and what's more is I consider it unhealthy or non-hygienic. All right, as soon as you make that statement, you can't argue with it. I mean, to an extent, you can always back that up in your opinion. All right, then you could back something like that up. If you didn't turn around and say, well, I don't want a smelly hippie in here. Well, then what the hell's a smelly hippie? Now, if 40 was around, I could, you'd have a ready-made example, but we're not talking about 40 ounce right now.
Oh, that's such an ad hom.
I'm hoping he gets a chance
Oh,
to.
he ain't even
sometime
here.
later.
It's all right, 40. We love you, brother. Hope your PC is doing
I
well.
do miss 40. I really wish he'd get his computer fixed. I hope he gets this fixed as soon as possible.
Yeah, like I almost want to create a fucking GoFundMe for him to get a fucking laptop or something. Like, goddamn, I want my co-host back.
Get him like a Chromebook.
Yeah, something. As long as it'll fucking run his headset and he can connect to the damn internet. That's all I fucking care about. But no.
That you should start this channel every day with some hot chick in a bikini. As she wanders across, this is how your channel should start every time.
Is that a bad
That might
thing?
work. Yeah, that might help viewership.
Thumbnails make no difference at all. Thumbnails make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, no, and I need to start actually taking my thumbnail, throwing it into my photo editor, and actually creating a thumbnail. That would, be probably a little more professional. Maybe I should think about doing that. Rat, did you hear the news? Did you hear the news of what YouTube's doing? How do you feel about it?
Hey, buddy.
I haven't really. Okay, so I saw Sticks talked about it. I think. Can someone just catch me up a little?
Sure, since I'm the one who seems to be the let's catch everybody up on the issues. All right, basically what YouTube is now saying is they're trying to placate the mainstream media by, first of all, they're going to give them $25 million to help them create YouTube channels. Like, they don't know how to do that already. And then what they're going to do is they're going to adjust the algorithm so that those channels get higher priority when it comes to news that that's happening rather than the average channels when people are just making things and putting it out there. They're going to be more. They'll get more hits, and at least initially when people do searches than either you, me, or Mad Dodge.
Well, isn't that just great? Well, I usually don't like the regulations that YouTube are throwing at us anyway. So,
but hold on a second. YouTube is giving multi-billion-dollar companies millions of dollars to learn how to YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's free. YouTube's free. I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling to me.
Except they have made that whole YouTube Pro or whatever they call it that you have to pay for. But okay, so here's the thing: YouTube is a private company, and they're allowed to do it, and they should be allowed to do it. I just don't agree with them doing it.
So how do we fix this? Because it kind of feels like those big multi-billion-dollar companies at the moment, the established mainstream media, they're playing through Diablo 2 on like beginner, and like all of a sudden I feel like we're on like the very last inferno of fucking like hardcore nightmare or hell, whatever the top one is.
I think what we need to do, and it's easy for me to sit here and say it now, but it's harder to actually manage to engage enough people in it. But I think it's important that people boycott the sort of mainstream media within YouTube, like CNN's channels and stuff like that. That people keep away from these channels and show YouTube that we won't be driving revenue over there. And that's hard to do in practice, seeing as they will always be able to pull someone towards them.
Well, that's true for certain topics if it's something you want to check out. But dude, we were just talking about this earlier. Like CNN, I think they have like 3.2 million subscribers, and like many of their videos get like 2,000 views. Like as a percentage, that's pretty low. Like there are certain metrics you can take. Like if you watch a live stream, typically you'll see about 1% of a subscriber count, as long as it's at like a typically reasonable hour for most of their demographics. But if you see anything more than that, like even like on like the Redeye and stuff like that, like if you see like 20 people here, dude, that's 2%. That's like 100% more than, I guess it is a smaller metric and stuff. but it is a metric, dude, and it's just something to keep an eye on.
And I know that people like Sticks Taxonhammer and a lot of other bigger creators, and they are speculating that a bunch of the subscribers of CNN, for example, are bots, seeing as nobody bothers to watch their videos.
I watch some of their videos. I
Yeah,
learned about
like
$1 million from it.
Seeing as they have 2 million subscribers and yet still they only get like 1,000 to 5,000 views on their videos. And there is a reasonable point to be made that maybe some of those accounts are not real.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only time I ever go to even Fox News, usually I just go to their website and I pull an article and I do it that way. But sometimes I'll do a direct response or have a news clip, and I just download the video, do my editing, and add my commentary and throw it up. So they're not necessarily getting repeat views for me. They might get the view for me clicking on it and downloading it. That's it. I mean, they're not even getting watch time out of me. You know what I mean?
Like, you know, my format is the whole vlogging format, so I don't usually only if I'm looking for specific news or if I know about some news that I want to read what other people have said. But otherwise, when I am making videos, CNN doesn't really touch me in any way, or neither does any of the fans.
You're a more direct competition with CNN than people like me. I mean, for crying out loud, I'm coming from the right perspective. You're a commie like they are.
Oh, it's rich to call CNN commies, though. I think that's. But yeah,
just for the audience, you could tell Rat and Resistance and I have don't have this is not an adversarial relationship. It's friendly banter, folks.
CNN has over 4,000. CNN has. I'm sorry, MD. CNN actually has over 4,000 employees worldwide. So that means on some of their videos, not even half their own folks that work for them watch.
Well, no, and that's insane that a large company like, okay, the list of companies that are initially on it does not include CNN or Fox. It's like India News and shit like that. So they're really reaching for at least the pilot program, what they're introducing now. They have more of the fringe news sites signed up to it that probably do need the money.
Yeah, personally, I like more to get my and I think maybe they have caught on to this. More and more people are getting their news from YouTube and from more independent sites, which is why they're trying to buy into YouTube.
No, but they're not buying in. They're getting like welfare.
Yeah,
like it's a free
they're being
handout.
subsidized.
Well,
Yeah.
so what you're saying is that I should probably be for that, then.
Well,
No,
I mean,
no,
if
just-
you
no,
have
it's
them
not
stock
even-
in them.
No, seeing
It's
as
not
I'm
even-
on the panel.
No, well, no, Rat. Even if you're looking at it as a communistic view, which I don't believe you're a full-on red and under the bed fucking communist. I really don't. I have more respect for you than that. But
Thanks.
I don't.
yeah. No, but the thing is, though,
I like Rat.
they are literally subsidizing the companies that already make millions and billions, to be fair, with some of these sites. This is corporate welfare. This is something even the left should rail against, really. But it's private corporate welfare, though, because it's not government money, which is the weird thing. It's like Google's creating its own government, and now it's subsidizing other companies. It's weird. Go ahead.
I think the people on the left that are like me, that are serious about the policies that they are for, and that they are serious about what can I say, not being for all these fringe issues, and that are updated on what YouTube are doing, I think they would probably be against it either way, because the left usually is quite against corporate welfare.
Well, well, how does this look?
What do you mean?
Like the sheer fact we're talking about this right now. If all of a sudden they're getting on, and if all of a sudden they don't see like steady, strong progress and success, and they end up stagnating, and you end up seeing a more of the alternative, like the YouTube, kind of like more like quote unquote grassroots media kind of popping up and kind of taking over. Like, that looks terrible for them. Like, that's like, wouldn't that shame them, like, almost off the platform? I mean, they'd still be on, but you kind of get what I'm saying.
Well,
no.
I think they are trying to sort of take over the platform. They don't really care, and you know, this is why some creators tried with VidMe and are trying with BitChute and other sites, because they're like, well, you know, if the corporatists are going to take over YouTube, then we as private content. Independent content creators should have sort of a back way where we can, you know, retreat to and be safe for a while.
We need a safe space, if you would. Maybe somebody to represent us, Rat, would you say?
Yeah, I could say it like that, yeah.
I hear there's a fine German gentleman that proposed such a thing.
Yeah, what happened with that? But before you answer, real quick, how long until Glenn Beck and the Blaze crawl on their hands and knees to the president of YouTube and kiss her feet and beg her for a part of that 25 million? From what I've heard, the Blaze is a blaze. It is melting down, and he just laid off more people a week ago. He now only has 5 employees.
Mad Dodge, why do you care?
I'm gonna guess that Glenn Beck has already started crawling. He'll be within her apartment area within a week.
He can be kind of creepy, but it's just, I did like a lot of his stuff. Like, I used some of his footage inside him when I did my $1 trillion coin and like deficit video like a number of years ago, and I'm just like, Glenn Beck is a person too.
Okay,
he is.
Why do you guys care?
I don't care that much.
I care because I actually used to like Glenn Beck's content. I actually paid quite a bit of money. He was doing a live tour and a simulcast at a theater close in Eugene, and me and my best friend paid the $30 each for a ticket. We went and had a couple drinks and went and watched it, and it was hilarious. And it was good shit. And I have a few Glenn Beck books, but he's just lost it, man. That Never Trump bullshit just ate away at him and killed him. He lost it. Went off the deep end, dude.
Well, actually, no. You bring up a great point with what you had said just before that. It's like, if Glenn Beck can go to YouTube and ask for that money, like, what are the requirements to do that?
I don't know. Sell your soul to YouTube or Google?
Well,
you got to write the contract in blood.
In order to promote truth is essentially what I'm hearing. If you have a bunch of folks who are committed towards truth and telling events and providing different sides of stories and kind of trying to boil down to what actually the heck happened, which I think is what everyone at least is saying that they want. Yeah, like, couldn't you just have like a number of content creators kind of form, like, I don't know, like let's call it maybe a small broadcast such as the Young Turks, the Daily Wire? Do they have the ability to do that? Could we do that? Does the Redeye deserve a handout? I don't know.
I could hand out.
Well, you're already in Norway, so.
Well, the thing is, though,
Norway is an excellent place.
Once you kiss YouTube's ring, so to say, what more strict rules do you have to abide by? You know, like what standard is now going to be placed upon your channel? Limit
profanity is probably a general thing.
I just want to say that I am a person of no integrity, and if YouTube wants me to kiss the ring for $1 million a year, I'll do
it. Typical sellout for a leftist. No surprise there.
Well, you could kiss the ring and then just do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah.
It's a joke. God memes. Jeez.
You know, a couple years down the line, when I'm mega rich, I'll come back to you guys. It's fine.
That's exactly what he's gonna do. He's gonna say, he's gonna look and go, yeah, I might be a sellout, but you know what?
If I
Here's my
had
plane.
$1
I'll see you
million
later.
dollars, I'd buy your stream. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
No, also in the chat, Hammered Spud says, can't help but wonder if Mr. Alex Jones would qualify for some YouTube shekels. And yes, I was quoting him exactly. I did not insert the word shekel in there. That was written. But yeah, what would stop a media? Yeah. I'll let you continue real quick when I finish my thought here. Like, how big do you need to be? Like, does InfoWars qualify? Does the Young Turks, as Memes was saying? I mean, what's the threshold here to be the real news? I mean, and then what's the threshold to get some of that sweet Google money? Go ahead, Rat.
Yeah, I think it's interesting with Alex Jones because I think YouTube knows that they get a lot of money from him. And so I have a feeling that he would actually be able to qualify for it, even though they might not agree with the things he says and the more kooky out there conspiracy theories. But we need to remember that YouTube and Google, they only see one color, and that's green. And I think they know that they make a lot of money out of Alex Jones.
I like blue.
Well, I like red. So, you know.
Yeah, not a surprise.
But no, MD, I'm not sure. But like, what if, like, I think you should send an email to YouTube because you've had some correspondence with them in the past, as has been covered previously on the Redeye, and yeah. So what if you were to send them an email saying, "Hi, I would like to apply for the $25 million. I run a weekly, several-time weekly podcast and everything. And with that money, I would be able to help build, grow, hire staff, and put good, hard-working YouTubers to work."
Yeah, right. First person I hire would have to be Memes. You. I'd hire you because then I can hire MC and you two could fight every day on your own show. He can call you we'll call it the Filthy Centrist. It'll be amazing.
The Filthy Centrist Hour.
Yeah. I love that idea.
What did he say, MC? Let's take Hannity and Combs to the next level.
I think you should hire me, and then I could have a program that we could call Rat's Little Red.
Well, Rat.
Little Red Rat's Hour.
Well, no. Rat would be our designated foreign correspondent.
Oh yeah, we could totally send you all over your homeland, and we could really learn about socialism. Figure out how we can do it correctly.
I was just referring to the fact that he's the only one of the three of us here not in the States, so he literally would be our only foreign correspondent.
Oh no! You think Cabbage wants to do any more programming? Yeah, right. He'd rather have some of that.
We're paying
that
Cabbage
Google money.
Hey, Cabbage,
We have to pay Cabbage.
He doesn't like pineapple on pizza, so that might be a deal breaker.
Cabbage and Voice of Wonder here, so I get to be the foreign correspondent.
Yeah, Voice of One didn't even show up. At least Cabbage was in the chat. Damn it! The hell, Voice. No, but if he doesn't like pineapple on pizza, we just won't invite him for the yearly cruise because, we're going to embezzle some of that. I mean, use some of that money for company meetings.
Well, here's the thing. As long as they don't watch this full stream, you may actually have a chance at that $25 million.
Put hard-working Oregonians to work because I build a studio and I have to have staff. Wait,
Oregonians? Wait, are you saying that we're a bunch of lizard people from?
No, Oregonians is what they call residents of Oregon.
Oh,
I know they're weird.
Oh,
at least we don't have asshole in our self description.
Who has an asshole in there?
He's an asshole.
Well, let's face it. And this is one of the things I think many people can agree about President Trump. President Trump at times can be absolutely a complete asshole. But here's the thing about assholes: everyone has one, and everyone needs one.
I like Norwegian. I think that is a nice. It has a nice ring to it.
Are you accepting people from the colonies?
The colonies, we were colonized now, colonized.
Well, not by Norway. I'm sorry. I'm assuming Jensen Quinn is watching us at some point. I'm gonna have to give a shout out to good old JQ.
Oh,
Yeah, but if we've talked the YouTube thing to death, we can move on. There is a couple other things that are going on. Yeah, that's what I was going to segue into. What do we know about the Supreme Court pick? First off, how do you pronounce his last name?
Kavanaugh?
Kavanaugh.
Okay, I was going to butcher it. I just knew I was, so yeah.
Just assume his name is named after some Russian or German firearm. Kavanaugh.
Brett Kavanaugh.
Well, I know one thing, and that is that Mad Dodge, you won't support him.
Why? Mad Dodge won't support him. Why?
Because he's not against he's not against Roe v. Wade.
MC kind of already went over, I think, the primary issues about that topic, though.
Yeah.
13th Amendment guaranteeing a right to privacy. That's
14th.
I'm sorry, math is hard.
Numbers. Okay. I'm gonna let me if please indulge me a little bit, Mad Dodge. I realize it's your channel, but I just want to reiterate this. Anybody who thinks that Roe v. Wade won't get overturned, all right, it probably will be, but that doesn't mean much considering the fact that Roe v. Wade only basically says is that the federal government can't sit up there and ban abortions. All right. There's always been time and again in the states, if somebody wants abortion to be legal, right, each state on their own can legalize abortions. They could do it just through their legislatures. They don't need to go through the U.S. Congress or et cetera, although the U.S. Congress could also legalize it via the same means. So the idea that Roe v. Wade, all right, was really going, if it gets overturned, is really going to change any of the dynamics when it comes to actual abortion or abortion rights in this country. It's just nonsense. It's just fear mongering. All right. Nothing's going to happen and nothing will happen, even if it is overturned. All right. But that's not why it's an issue. It isn't about abortion. It's about the legislation from the bench where people are, especially the people on the left, and Brett, this does not include you because this is a different dynamic that's specific to the United States. All right. The way our country is structured, all right, the Constitution and fidelity to the law has to be at its highest premium. If a law can be changed simply from a justice walking in and saying, okay, I think this law means X, Y, Z, right, regardless of what it was actually intended for or how it's actually being utilized. That's legislation from the bench. You're not actually following the law. You're reading into it to justify some judicial or some legislative opinion that you might have, and that's beyond the scope of a justice. All right, that's what they're afraid of. If you start going back to the old ways where you are holding people accountable or they're expecting these justices to interpret the law and saying, is this law legal or not, rather than legislating from the bench, that is something that the left, all right, is terrified, that concept going back to the way it was. This is where they keep using the concept of saying, okay, well, the United States Constitution is a living, breathing document. So they can basically justify whatever stance they want, regardless of what the legal statute is.
You need to at least explain your work.
Okay. Roe v. Wade, all right, it does two things. All right. The ruling in Roe v. Wade did two things. One is it said that you have a right to privacy in the Constitution based on the 14th Amendment. This is nonsense. There's no way you can take a look at the 14th Amendment, read it, and sit in structural and create some kind of structural methodology that says somehow that you see a right to privacy on there. And then it stretched it even further by saying, because we read a right to privacy in the 14th Amendment, we are now going to read a right to abortion. Okay, which is also not even close to being part of the 14th Amendment. For those people who don't know, all right, the 14th Amendment is one of the amendments that was put in place to ensure that African Americans that were freed after the Civil War, all right, were given citizenship. It is also, if you really want to take a look at some controversial aspects of it, it is also the amendment that says if you're born in the United States, you are a U.S. citizen. This is why when somebody comes into this country from a foreign country, all right, they can become U.S. citizens just by being born here. If an illegal alien has a child here in the United States, that child is a U.S. citizen by the 14th Amendment, and it is in there in that verbiage. All right, there's no doubt about it. Now you can come back and say, well, that wasn't the intent, and really it was meant for this. If you want to try and stretch the ruling, but the law says what the law says. All right, this is where a lot of this stuff comes from. But to read the ruling on abortion, if you read the ruling on abortion, it's nonsense. Now, all that being said, is this guy Kavanaugh going to overturn Roe v. Wade? Okay, we have no idea. All right, I have no idea if he would overturn Roe v. Wade or not. But the issues with this guy are not going to come from that anyway. When he goes in front of the Senate for confirmation, the issues are going to center around his time as one of the personal secretaries for George W. Bush in the White House. That's what they're going to ask for. They're going to ask for that documentation, and they're going to comb through that documentation with a fine-tooth comb, looking for anything and everything so that they can attempt to disqualify or qualify for it. That's what's going to happen. I have a feeling this isn't even going to revolve around actual judicial work. It's going to revolve around work outside the judicial context.
Did anyone else notice that before he was officially announced that I believe it was Senator Lindsey Graham mentioned whomever she may be, and he was like, he knew whom it was? Because I remember I was literally watching that live on Fox News, and like I noticed there was a lot of inferences and stuff and very like smug looks, and it's like, ha ha ha, I know. And then there was a gal after, she's like, yes, we're gonna do the right thing. And there were certain talking points that were just being repeated again and again. And it didn't end up being the gal who I think she was recently appointed to one of the circuit courts.
Correct.
So now, is it just me, or would President Trump would never troll individual members of Congress and give them?
All right. Let's look at this from two aspects. Okay. First of all, we know very well that Trump would definitely troll people.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if he doesn't like them and thinks that they're a dirtbag.
And private cell phone number out during the campaign.
And Lindsey Graham is high on his list of people that he kind of despises. So it wouldn't surprise anybody to know that he freaking gave him any false knowledge. Now, that being said, lately Lindsey Graham has been a very vocal Trump supporter. All right, it's one of the people that has shown a dramatic change in being never Trump to okay, well now I'm supporting Trump. Almost every time he turns around.
Bootlicker. He's a bootlicker.
Okay. It seems to be a popular thing to do now amongst Republicans. So.
I
really don't like him. I never have. I hate that mother.
I don't deny that he's probably a bootlicker. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true though. Like, and he's a Southerner, and he deserves that fucking call. If it was the 1800s, he'd be challenging me to the duel, but he wouldn't have the balls. He's a bootlicker. He'd just take it.
But MD, he's senated for so long.
Yeah, he's really perfected the bootlicking. He can shine it with one lick. I fucking hate that guy.
That's it's for the party, man. It's for the party.
Okay, now let's go back to what I was going to say before you called him a bootlicker, and I couldn't stop laughing. Yes, but at the same time, like I said, he's been very vocal now being a Trump supporter, and it wouldn't surprise me if he asked Lindsey Graham, all right, to troll the media a bit. All right, and try and indicate that it's going to be Amy Bennett or Barrett.
That may be possible, but are you really saying that President Donald Trump would give up an opportunity to troll Lindsey Graham like that on live TV?
If he's trying to get a nominee through at this point in time, trolling him is kind of counterproductive, wouldn't you think?
Well, I mean, you're saying Lindsey Graham would vote no against it because the president trolled him?
Yeah, yes. Lindsey Graham would do something like that.
Really? Doesn't he want to continue?
Would you put a pat? Let me ask you. Would it be any different than you thinking that if, for example, John McCain got trolled, he wouldn't put it past him?
Well, John McCain may be a little bit of a different situation because he really doesn't seem to like the current president.
Hey, and neither did Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham
seems to, but didn't we just say Lindsey Graham has been very pro-Trump as of lately?
Right, and so at this point in time, why would you think somebody that is being pro-Trump and being pro-you
or official stimulation?
But what would Trump gain from doing something like that?
Oh no, I could absolutely believe like he had told Lindsey to basically kind of troll or do a Freudian slip or something like that on purpose. Oh, I could absolutely believe that as well. And to be fair, that would make more sense. Like, because then at that point, he wouldn't just be like fighting and beating the crap out of Lindsey. He'd be inviting him into the game and become part of the game.
Right, but that would make sense.
It would make more sense actually. Yeah, no, I tend to probably give that more credence, unless he's very mopey.
It might have been that Trump just changed his mind, though.
Well, that's actually a good point. I didn't actually consider, but it is true. Trump president may have been leaning one way and decided to go a different direction.
Well, the president disappointed me not nominating Judge Andrew Napolitano, but I guess he leaves that up to me in 2020. It's okay.
Well, to be fair, the extra 10,000 views would have been really good.
I'm still disappointed that I didn't, nominate Ted Cruz or something. That would have been hilarious.
Ted Cruz?
Ted Cruz wasn't being thrown around, but the gentleman from Utah, Mike Lee or something like that, right?
Yeah, Mike Lee.
His name was being thrown around quite a bit. Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, can Ted Cruz even be a member of the U.S. Supreme Court?
Yes.
Okay.
He would have to give up being a senator.
Oh no! I wasn't sure if he needed to be like a naturalized citizen or something, which I tend to believe he is and shit like that.
Oh, from his time where
because when President Trump was like, I don't even know, he can be Prime Minister of Canada.
Can you imagine a race between him and Justin Trudeau?
Between Trump and Justin Trudeau?
No, Cruz.
Ted Cruz. That'd be funny. But no, okay.
Is that how we attempt to annex Canada by Cruz control?
No, we don't need to annex Canada. We're fine.
But I like Canada, although I have a passport hard copy, so I'm fine.
Yeah, I believe that all mankind have a right to look at porn on Twitter. Yeah. And then Trudeau stands in the corner being like, I think you mean people kind.
See, all you need to do to debate Ted Cruz is get the guy that was at the gas station across the street when Ted Cruz is using all his like Princeton debate tactics and his long dramatic pauses, and he's like, "I am a fraud," and it just like the guy ruined him. Was that the only reason? But it looked terrible, man.
Did you guys the Ted Cruz ads during the primary where he was with the Duck Dynasty guy?
Oh, which one?
I don't know what the Duck Dynasty people are. The old one.
Oh yeah.
They're out duck hunting.
Yeah. No, the show was pretty good. I'm not a really big fan of duck calls, but.
Well, okay. So Matt Barkley in the chat says, I can't wait for Trump's second term. I'm hoping he uses the military to stomp Antifa into the ground. So sick of them getting away with everything. First off, I doubt he would ever do that. But what will a President Trump with no re-election or any other political prospects ahead of him, what's he going to do when he's let off the leash 100%? he could do whatever he wants at that point, at least executively. He could cut the Department of Education. He could, you know, do a bunch of shit that would have a lasting legacy and a real change.
We may see true Trump care in single payer.
Now,
how's that one for 5D chess?
I need to remind the comment section that Trump won't get a second term because guess what? Hillary Clinton might be running again.
Yeah, because Trump's going to lose to her this time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I am of the standpoint that there may be many people around Miss Clinton that just are giving not the best advice, or just why would they want her to continue to be politically active?
Hey, just listen to me. Russia won't get the drop on her this time. This time she's prepared.
If it wasn't for your meddling kids and your trolls too.
I'm just looking forward to more fainting and like lizard eggs and glasses of water. That's gonna be fucking great YouTube fodder. That'll be fun.
Can you imagine the 2020 version of Pokemon Go to the Polls? Oh, I really truly hope she does run again. It would be so fucking hilarious.
Well, hey, gotta catch them all.
I just hope what is Aleppo Gary Johnson just stays the fuck out of the race and the hell away from the Libertarian Party forever. Just stay away, Gary. We don't need you anymore.
Looking at the election of 2016, it looked like everyone was a freak. Everyone that was running was a freak.
Well, no. Well, here's the thing. Historically, they weren't really that freakish, because what I kept in reference was the 2012 election, where Herman Cain, Mr. 999, basically at one point was on the border. And he's like, Mr. Cain, what is your solution to the border problem? He's like, we're going to build a 20-foot fence, electrified, with a sign on both sides that says, this will kill you. And he proceeded to support that because he got a quick bump in the polls for the next 24 hours. And then 2 days later, they asked him, Mr. Cain, are you really going to build a 3,000-mile electric fence on the border? He's like, no, man, I was just playing.
I'm, however, hoping for Vermin Supreme 2020.
Who was that?
Oh, he's the guy with the boot on his head. He's a real winner.
Wait, I thought Shoe on Head was a girl.
He's at least an American.
She's a lovely young woman. Congratulations to her.
I don't think she's old enough, however.
Vermin Supreme, the only presidential candidate to have a power plan for the zombie apocalypse, and he has stated that he will go back in time to kill baby Hitler.
Well, the zombie apocalypse we're never worried about because the CDC already sit up there and runs drills against the zombie apocalypse. So we're fully prepared for the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, head to your local super Walmart.
Also, he actually criticized Jeb Bush for his answer on the baby Hitler question, where he was like, yeah, Jeb Bush said that he would go back in time to kill him. I'm saying I'm going back in time to kill him.
Well, aside from murdering children before they do terrible things in a proposed timeline, let's go back to what MD was saying. You're talking about the Libertarian Party, and I'm curious. Didn't you tell me a story once how folks wanted like New Hampshire to be like a libertarian state or something?
Yeah, it was the Free State Project. I believe they still have a website, and they're still trying to get a libertarian influx into the state. But yeah, when New Hampshire,
sounds like the white nationalists in South Dakota.
Yeah, kind of. It's the same principle. You move your population. Okay, you have a spread out demographic of 2 million, 3 million Americans. You move even 10% of them into a state that's small, like, I don't know, New Hampshire, and you flood it with political action, and you actually sway the vote and your way and start to run the state as your own libertarian, state, as that was the idea anyway. It never really came to fruition.
See, like in general, in principle, like it kind of bothers me, but I understand it. And doesn't it? Oh, motorcycle. But yeah, so it essentially tells you. Isn't that kind of what our friend Angel Snubnub was talking about with the state or something similar?
But okay, when you're talking about a political movement into an area, I think that's a little bit more noble than, I don't know, Richard Spencer and his white ethno state, or Snubnub and Jay-Z and their black ethno state.
Are they all not political movements?
The only reason you're supporting that is because you're trying to justify the slaves running to Kansas. The slave owners.
MC, that's cruel. I know you're not that much of a terrible person. But no, what I'm saying, man, is like, okay, so let's think this out. New Hampshire last time.
Kansas, in case you were wondering.
You were actually historical, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was talking about our Civil War series.
I'm not good at history. Leave me be.
That's quite evident.
I loved history though, but I need more. But no, well, here's the thing. Like the vote, as far as presidential goes, it was within 1,200, I think, less actual votes. I'll be straight up, man. At one point, I used to own a marketing company. I discontinued it, and I thought about almost resurrecting it, approaching the Trump campaign, asking for $1 million, and training like a door-to-door force, pay everybody like $1,000 a week, get some good folks in there for like summer work, and just train them and just to talk to people and stuff. Because like that's what I used to do. Like my job was to basically show back up as a representative for a company that just pissed you off as far as the cable industry or ISP broadband goes, and say, hey, we know we completely screwed you, but you should come back to us, and here are the reasons why.
Yeah,
so like,
you could call your group Acorn, right?
Well, to be fair, the actual name was I will not disclose it at this time, but it was something. Let's just say it was something more akin to what's that guy? He showed the CNN stuff with Van Jones and stuff. But talking about like Russia's just like a nothing burger.
You're talking about
MC, I think
Project Veritas.
Yeah, that dude.
Means I think it's interesting that you're going to ask him for $1 million. Would it be a small loan?
No, well, it would be a small loan of $1 million. You are correct there. But to be fair, I thought about it, I'm like, no, and I'm dealing with a bunch of other shit too. But realistically, I'm looking back, I'm like, you hire 20 people, you have each of them talk to 50 to 100 folks a day. If you have like 10 to 20 meaningful conversations, even if you have a low conversion rate, dude, that it could have potentially swung the state. I'm like, holy shit.
All the wrong way. What you need to do is you need to broach this to YouTube and say that this is a way of doing marketing, all right, to get people interested in certain things, and you're part of the marketing group to increase YouTube viewage on YouTube Red, or on these new channels that they're trying to promote.
Well, I mean, you could do that too, but it sounds like we're going like the covert guerrilla warfare method. You should give me money for this, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, and then like shank them in the back.
No, I wasn't actually. I was talking about really doing work. You could do the work the way you want to do your work.
Well,
of course,
fair.
you'd be
I could do that
Mad
too.
Dodge in the back. I mean, he would be one of the people on the outs, but you know. Hey,
oh, dude, I could sell YouTube Red subscriptions like it's nobody's business, dude. $10 a month. They were going to fly me out to California to do like literally that same thing. Subscribe to a nonprofit like charity for $10 a month, and the marketing payouts were actually quite good. And they're like, dude, it's charity work that's deductible. It's literally a gimme.
See, he's got the plan, man. Mad Dodge, you got to listen to him. He was going to be your campaign manager. You screwed that up.
I know. Pineapple on pizza, MD. It's unfortunate.
Well, I agree with you. Pineapple does belong on pizza. We were on the same side of that argument.
That would be
can't
like
take damage.
Mad Dodge 2020. Pineapple on pizza.
Ooh,
Mad Dodge,
dude. No, that would divide a lot of our vote. Don't bring that up.
Yeah, we need to bury that topic.
You would be like, a good Republican likes pineapple and pizza. It's un-American.
Dude, no. I love bringing that out. If you have 4 to 5 or more people, if you say that, some folks just say it so nonchalantly, and then you will almost always find one person that vehemently disagrees with them. I love it.
But look, you would be like if you were to run for the Republican Party, you would be the first Republican in ages to win Hawaii.
Nice. No, I wouldn't be able to run as a Republican. They'll go with the incumbent. There won't even be a primary. Really. So
you could
hey
primary.
Guys, I'm going to talk to the chat for a second. Hey guys, Bloodsport's not dead. Trust me. You'll hear Mad Dodge and I yelling really quick with one another when we continue our Civil War series.
No, that's just over the top professional commentary. It's professional wrestling version of blood sports. It's not meeting so and so outside the gym and bottling him.
yeah. MC's not gonna shake me in the fucking back with a 40 bottle. Yeah.
No, it's gonna hit you with a chair.
Why would I do that? Good God, you guys don't listen very well. There's drones out there.
Yeah, MC's threats like are less veiled, and when he makes them, you're like, he actually has the capability to probably do this.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, a couple phone calls, and suddenly I'm on a list that I was never on before.
Well, think about it this way: you'll get more views than you've ever had in your entire life.
You just won't get to enjoy it.
You can enjoy it until it hits.
Live stream. I'm getting drone struck, bro.
After I did the conversation with MC on his channel, I immediately called the Norwegian government, being like, "Yeah, I think there are some drones soon coming here, so we should maybe."
Oh God, you know what? That would create another controversy, because realistically, you could simulate that really well. Because I'm sure MC could gather up some drone footage that would look something very akin to where like Mad Dodge's terrain and stuff like that. And Mad Dodge could just start live streaming and be like, dude, I pissed off the wrong people and stuff. I'm getting drone struck. And all of a sudden, at one point, the OBS just comes up. He takes over from his phone live streaming. And then all of a sudden, you just see just black scribble screen. And just MC just has a split screen of just like the terrain just superimposed with like just a Hellfire missile going into a trailer.
Target hit, target down. Next.
Dude.
Yeah.
It would probably go viral.
Then I take a 2-week vacation and just disconnect from the internet.
No, because if some actual like mainstream media picked it up and everyone keeps citing each other, then
oh my God, that would
controversy. Dude, if you think there's an adpocalypse now, oh my God.
That's almost better than going after the flag. That would be awesome if we control like that.
The thing is, though, that unless MC would send some mean tweets, the mainstream media wouldn't give a shit anyway.
Well, that's the thing. That's how you promote kind of like, it's not a conspiracy theory, but it's a script. The WWE, or at that time, I'm going to go with the classic WWF, there were many professionals who worked the business.
Oh, you guys, some good news. I just got a email. My assignment was graded. It's 8% of my grade, and I thought I did shit on it. 4.64 out of 5. It's worth 8% of my grade. That's pretty good. I'll live with that. First paper I've written in, like for school in 10 years. So yeah, I'll take that.
That's an A.
Yeah.
That's an A.
Well, if you do 10, and then 4.5 would be an A minus.
4.64 out of 5.
Now I'm going to have to get my calculator out.
If you take 5 and double it, that makes 10, right? And then if you take 4.5 and double it, that makes it 9. So a 4.5 would be a 90, which would be an A minus. So we get 6.4. So I think it's an either high A minus or an A.
It's a 92.8.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry with my quick little arithmetic. And
I'll take it. No, still, I will take it. That score that one as a win for Mad Dodge, guys. I'll take it.
I'm throwing in Redeye point. We're using a curve here.
We're using a curve.
No, I was really worried about that. And I wrote the paper in literally 3 hours, and I had to do all the reading right before it. So I wasn't prepared for this paper. So I will take that for the win.
That's a humble brag, though. Like, yeah, you know, I got like a 90%. I only wrote in like 3 hours.
Well, so you were like every other college student, waited till the last minute, then did the reading and wrote the paper.
Fucking hell. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you haven't lost your touch, man.
That's right. Okay, so do you believe that they're going to be able to put the nominee through? I do. It's a Republican-controlled Senate.
To be honest, the way it looks right now, it looks like he's going to sail through. All right, unless something untold happens, he's already got basically McCain saying that he's going to support the nominee. All right, you already have Murkowski from Alaska and Susan Collins both have said that they think that this is a positive step and that they see no reason not to have him as a nominee. All right, so those were, and then Rand Paul has basically said the same thing. So of the senators that they were pointing out from the Republicans to say, okay, let's not support this guy, or that they were worried about may not give them automatic support. All those people have basically fallen immediately in line and said, yeah, this man is fully qualified and should be going. All right. So like I said, unless something comes out in the papers where they find, you know, him saying something, you know, off the wall to Bush, like something along the lines of, we can't afford to have Hillary president of the United States.
Well, here's the thing, MC. It's just, I think we talked a little bit about this off air yesterday. Like when I just saw them put up like the 4 justices and I looked at Kavanaugh, with all due respect to Justice Kavanaugh, but he literally looks like the archetype. If you took all previous Supreme Court justices, you boiled them down to the most stereotypical version of a Supreme Court justice, I would imagine it would be him.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of like Mitt Romney for the most generic president.
It's from what I can see. Like I said, from what I can see so far, it's a fait accompli. All right, it's just going to be a matter of what you're going to see initially. Is you're going to see probably Mitch McConnell try to push the process to expedite the process in some manner or so, right? It'll start kind of like just normal, and then what'll happen is the Democrats will say there's too much paper, we have more stuff that we have to investigate, so they'll try to delay it, at which point McConnell will come back probably and say, no, I'm not going to delay it, in fact I'm going to sit up there and increase the speed of the thing just to piss you off. All right.
No, they have control, and they have the nuclear option, which is the revision to the original form, I believe.
Well, that's already in place. You got to see. You keep talking about the nuclear option as if it was something that was untold. No, the nuclear option
was precedent for 100 years, but you enlightened me to the fact that it originally was not there. It's just a precedent that's been in place for 100 years. That, hey, I mean, if the other side can use it, I mean, it's only fair, right?
Well, the thing is all it was a parliamentary rule, and once they decided that they were no longer going to, they wanted to change that parliamentary rule, then that parliamentary rule is changed. It's not they're going to invoke the nuclear option. The parliamentary rule has been changed. It has.
Yeah, I know, and I get it. Like that's the Constitution. I don't mind a little bit more
it has nothing to do with oversight. The only thing it has to do with the Constitution is that,
but it ends up affecting processes that are in the Constitution.
What was that?
It ends up affecting processes that are put into the Constitution, such as the Senate confirmation. It ends up affecting it in a way. I understand
it does. It can affect that, but it is part of the advise and consent rule. All right, but the once again, how these things are looked at and how they go forward are you know what they are. It's just the rules within the Constitution, which says the Senate can set their own rules for debate and discussion, and that's what you're dealing with. All right, it's nothing more than that.
I almost feel it's one of those things that if you're going to do it, maybe a constitutional amendment to specify that, which would clear things up.
Why would do you know how hard it is to get a constitutional amendment?
Well, I know, but this seems to be an important thing to many people. Like there are many people on both whatever side, any side you say. There are some folks that support this, some folks are against it. What are the ratios? I have no freaking idea.
Do you think that there's any way possible to get 2/3 of the states to vote for it?
At this current moment, probably fucking not.
Okay.
Oh no! I'm not saying. I'm pretty much saying it's almost out of the scope of feasibility at the current state. Yeah, no, I get that, man, but I don't know. Like actually,
wishing in one hand once again.
Yeah. No, I know. Hey, and you know what? Like Jiminy Cricket, or no, actually Geppetto, I will wish upon a star. I will turn my head to something higher and amazing. It is kind of
And you will be eaten by the whale, but you won't find your way back out.
Well, I'll light a fire with a puppet, and we'll figure this shit out. But no.
And throw the puppet onto the freaking flame.
Justice Kavanaugh, one of the particular reasons he may have been chosen, aside from his qualifications, is the fact that the harder certain folks go after him, the more ammunition they'll actually give to whoever's fighting on the other side to go back at them. Because was he not the person in the Ken Starr thing? To go after his path will relitigate in some way the Ken Starr investigation, right?
Oh, I'm not sure. And MC said he'd be right back, but
because he was the guy that drafted like the Starr report. He was one of the judges that was working on the casework. So basically, in theory, like if a lot of the Democratic folks were to go after shit in his passing, oh, he's done bad things, that will dredge up things that are unpleasant to many Democrats. So like it could have been like a backhanded nomination.
Well, I just hope Rand Paul actually asks him, and this is the question I would ask. I would ask him, how do you feel about the Constitution? Is it a quote-unquote living document? Or do the words in it have meaning, and you need to stick to their original meaning when you interpret said document? And that is a big distinction, and I want to know his stance on that. I already know Andrew Napolitano's stance, and that's why I would have nominated Judge Napolitano. But I see MC's point. We were talking about this before the pick came out, and I see the point that Napolitano is now a celebrity. He had his own show on Fox Business. He's a regular on Fox News. That in itself makes him very polarizing to begin with. So I see why he wasn't the pick, but I would have nutted up, so to say, and made him my pick. And I wouldn't have even had to think about it. I would have got the resignation, and I'd be like, oh, hey, Judge Napolitano, it's the president. Are you willing to take this job? Yeah? All right. I'm putting you out there right now. I'm going to have a press conference. There we go. That's how quick it would have been. I wouldn't have even had
I mean, for the president of the United States, whom gets a lot of favorable coverage from Fox News, whom many people point that out, whom often appears, even at times, arguing on Fox News and still getting a good bit of positive coverage. You think pointing a Fox News analyst who's currently on the payroll to the Supreme Court would go over that well with many people? Because they did rehire him. I saw him on Fox News the other day. I'm like, wait a second. Was that actually Judge Andrew Napolitano, or were they pulling the old WWF Razor Ramon, leaving to WCW and getting fake Razor Ramon in there and hoping a lot of folks won't notice? But it actually was him. He's getting paid by Fox.
And that is a very fair point. And the Democrats, you wouldn't get very many of them switching sides. And sorry, I'm eating an Oreo cookie. My bad.
Oh, the black hole for your health.
But there we go. I'm done chewing. My apologies. But no, the thing is, I don't care. I'm looking at a Republican Senate, and I believe I could shove him through. So I'd roll the dice, and if they throw him back at my face, then I go for Mr. Safety over here. That was actually chosen.
Who are you trying to pick? What were you just saying?
That I would pick Judge Napolitano, and I'd see if he'd go through. I get it. He's on Fox's payroll. That's what we were just talking about. But I would have picked him anyway. And I wouldn't have had a list. I would have had a press conference right after I got off the phone with Judge Napolitano offering him the job. And I would have put him right through.
Well, MD, here's the thing. Like, once you become president of the United States, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Mad Dutch 2020.
Yeah, I'm what can I say? I don't have a dog in this fight, so
you're smarter than Sargon.
at this point,
Don't call V a dog, even though I memed the Scooby Doo once.
I didn't call you a dog. I said Sargon.
No, I said V.
I think I'm the one calling him a dog. I am smarter than Sargon. At this point, I would probably say that I am.
Well, Sargon's very witty, though.
Yeah, but in my opinion, like I unsubscribed to him the other day because he has gone completely off the rails. He is all the way out in McCarthy land, and I just couldn't support him anymore. But when it comes to the SCOTUS thing, it's like I don't really know enough judges and lawyers and whatever in the United States to even begin having a thought of anything really.
Yeah, you have to understand how the American judicial system works and how it doesn't work. So yeah,
I think we have one.
I mean,
I think we have one. Just a second, MC. I think we have one more topic that you will actually be able to help on, and we're going to move on to that here in a minute. But MC, while you were away, I also stated the reason that I would put Judge Napolitano up to the high bench, and that is because he is a constitutionalist and doesn't buy the living document argument. And the way I know that is because I've watched all of his lectures that are open to the public on YouTube. I've watched almost every speech he's done for the Mises Institute, and I really believe that I actually know what the man believes and how he would rule from the bench. And so he doesn't believe in the living document prospect. And that's what I want to know about this guy. Does he, or is he going to, or is he a constitutionalist and believes, words have meaning and you need to know the meaning of said words?
Unfortunately, regardless of what people think, you're not going to know that until you start seeing them ruling consistently as the Supreme Court justice. We still to this day don't know how Judge Gorsuch is actually going to rule on case to case. We have suspicions. All right, but the reality is he's only ruled on 4 cases now, so it seems that he's got a pattern. But a year from now, 2 years from now, if he's voting the same way, then you can say that. People, people think that they know who these justices are and how these justices are going to rule into the future, and they try to make these kind of assessments, and it doesn't always come true.
Well, we have to remember the Affordable Care Act.
Well, Affordable Care Act. You also have to look at Justice Souter, David Souter, and so forth. But Scalia
was what he was, and you knew that from the day he was put through. Didn't Reagan put him in, or
Scalia?
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
But George Bush put him in. I believe.
Senior, though, right?
Yeah, senior.
Oh, okay.
Well, my big thing is, as I pay attention to like the amount of shift in the court. Like if you got a guy like Scalia, who's quite a conservative gentleman, and then you have him replaced with Gorsuch, who's also a pretty darn conservative gentleman. I'm like, that doesn't really seem like a major shift in the court. So I usually don't worry that much. As MC said, every case is different. Everyone is an individual, and you never know until the case actually comes and is argued for. But it's just like, unless it's like a fairly substantial swing, I don't know. It's not it's a big deal, but I'm like,
it's still an estimation, and you're not going to see a major change until you see something like Ruth Bader Ginsburg go.
And that's what President Trump to nominate President Obama.
If he's not going to nominate Obama, that would be a horrible.
What would people do?
What do you mean?
That would be insane. There's never been an ex-president that has moved on to the.
Incorrect.
Really? Who?
Howard Taft.
Oh, who the fuck ever remembers Taft?
Hey, he's a big dude. He was a big dude. Like literally, he was so big, he was president and then a Supreme Court justice.
He was a big dude. Because he was rotund.
That kind of makes me mad though, because to have a ex-president actually ascend to a lifelong post sounds like a coronation to me. And I don't like that.
Coronation.
How much would the court shift from Ginsburg?
What you're laughing? You're laughing, but
Justice Obama.
no, you're laughing. But he was already naturally partisan because he was fucking president and had to run with a party, and then you put him on a court to rule over cases that will have a large impact on the next 100, 200, 300 years.
We're talking the difference in the way the court exists today and the way it existed back then.
Let me just say.
I just don't like the condensation. It seemed a little condescending how you were giggling at me like I was an idiot, and it kind of triggered me a little bit.
Well, so because Taft was the vice president under Teddy Roosevelt, and after his first term, Teddy Roosevelt ran against him on the Bull Moose Party, which basically split the vote, which left it to Woodrow Wilson as president of the United States.
Oh, fucking Wilson.
Let me just shoot in Trump for SCOTUS 2025.
I would not think that the temperament of a Donald Trump would fit as a SCOTUS.
How's he qualified to be a Supreme Court justice? He's the president because he's like rich and entertaining and stuff, and knows how to piss people off in many right ways and many wrong ways, and he knows how to make a deal. And he's a living meme.
Are you telling me the president can't be SCOTUS?
No,
I don't think he's
qualified. Just said that a president could become SCOTUS. Right?
A lot of people,
but whether I like it or not, when it comes to the temperament of a justice, I would have to say, if you're going to choose between President Trump or President Obama, Obama has a better temperament for a Supreme Court justice than Trump would.
Wrong archetype for the job.
Hey, that's what they said about the temperament of the president between Hillary and Trump as well.
They did that, and
many are still saying
in all things being equal. All right, if this was a normal election year, that would have been a very effective technique. The problem is this isn't a normal situation within American politics. Generally, in American politics, that's actually a very much something that's considered by the populace as to whether or not the person who's running actually has the temperament for the office.
So I'm wondering, seeing as we're talking about the election of 2016, who do you guys see as viable Democrats for 2020?
There are none. Currently, there are none.
Yeah, well, I'm close to agreeing with it. Like, I know who I want to run, but they don't want to let him run. So,
well, who do you want to run?
I'm not gonna say the B word in this chat.
Bernie Sanders will, first of all, will not run for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is his age.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and what most of it, which is the fact he was already paid off and he's enjoying his new beach house.
I think that the DNC made it impossible for him to run anyway.
The DNC did sit up there and basically create their rules to say you can't run as a Democrat. That doesn't stop him from running as president. I mean, he could easily sit up there and run on a Green Party ticket or on Mad Dodge's Libertarian ticket.
Yeah, but he doesn't believe in independent runners, though, seeing as he sees them as the what you call it, spoiler candidates. So,
well, I mean, he can say that, but at the same time, he doesn't consider himself a Democrat. Never has.
Yeah, I know, but that's why he won't be running as an independent for the presidential office. Right.
So why wouldn't he run? Why wouldn't he run as the fact is when he said he was running against as a Democrat, everyone was like, "But you're not a Democrat. Why are you running as a Democrat?" Right. That was an additional factor that played out as the campaign went forward. That's one of the reasons why I disagree with people when they say that Bernie was cheated. All right. Bernie wasn't cheated. They had those rules in place to prevent that very thing from taking place. Bernie knew what the rules were when he claimed that he was going to run as a Democrat in the Democrat ticket. All right. Now, that's not saying, please don't misunderstand me, that's not saying there weren't shenanigans going on there. I mean, so some of the things obviously that CNN did, and obviously some of the organizational shenanigans with the money and the finances and everything were also added to that shadiness. But the reality is that the whole reason for super delegates in both parties is to prevent an interloper from coming into the party and winning the nomination. That's what the super delegates were there to prevent, and that's always what they have been there to prevent. All right. So from that perspective, all right, yeah, Bernie was winning states but losing the delegate count. That's not a surprise to me. All right.
Well, you know who really got screwed, though? I'll let you continue, but I just want to point it out who really got screwed. George O'Malley, That nobody talked about him. Nobody gave a fuck. It was the Bernie and Hillary show, and he was just the other guy.
Let me ask you a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rat. And then I'll ask Mad Dog.
O'Malley once had I think it was a rally. It was meant to be a rally. One person showed up. One. He was never a viable candidate in 2016.
He was a viable candidate if they would actually gave him some, I don't know, press. Nobody talked about him. I didn't even know who he was.
What press were you planning to give him? Hey, look, this is the man who taxed rain. Okay.
What?
As a governor of Maryland, he said, well, I'm going to tax you on how much rain falls on your land. And he instituted a tax like that. You're going to tell me that he was a viable candidate?
Well, no. Well, see, here's the thing. When I look at Mr. Martin O'Malley, it's like I feel like I'm looking at the guy from Whose Line It Is Anyway, except a much less funny version of him. And it just, I'm like, I listen to his words. He says some sensible things, and I'm like, I'm not entertained. I'm sorry.
All it was going to take was, why did you tax rain? And that his candidacy was over.
But he doesn't look like the black guy or the bald guy from that show. I mean, are you saying he looks like Drew Carey?
He was on 2.5 Men. He married Alan's ex-wife.
You're not talking about Ryan Stiles, right? He's the brown-haired guy. Oh,
no,
really?
No, a later life Ryan Stiles. Like he's now. You're thinking of Ryan Stiles from back in the day, dude. He's been around for a while. He's a funny guy.
Fair enough.
But if I could choose anyone to run for the Democrats, I think I would say something like Tulsi Gabbard. I like her. There goes the shitstorm.
Who?
Yeah, I don't even know who she is.
I think she's senator in Hawaii.
Oh, well, there's where your shitstorm comes from. We don't need another island fucking president.
The one who stood up there and said that the most important thing that our military had to focus on was global warming in a Senate hearing.
Yeah, and President Bush wanted to keep our nuclear stockpile under control. Sometimes people use the wrong words.
When you're in a Senate hearing with the military and you say, "I'm sorry, sir, but could you explain to me why you have what you've done to stop global warming?" And you're in the military, you're a general.
Was she the one that the general referred to her as like ma'am, and she like kind of scolded him?
No, that was Boxer.
Okay, yeah. All right, well,
well, I'll tell you what we've done as a as the military, to do with global warming. We bombed the shit out of Antarctica. We are whipping global warming's ass right now. There's more icebergs than ever before. It's fucking amazing.
We decided to try and take out anybody else's refineries to lower the production of CO2 in the atmosphere by bombing the Arab world back into the Stone Age. Next.
No. MC, I stand by. As a dirty centrist, quote unquote, I stand by this is a better option. And here's an actual real life option. What's the place with Dubai? What the folks of Dubai are doing, since they essentially have, in a proverbial way, more money than God, is they have literally been purchasing glaciers and having them brought there, brought massive chunks of Arctic ice there. And you're like, oh, well, what are they going to do with that? It's going to melt. Yes. But for a period of time, it will lower the temperature of the city by 1 degree. And then they'll just get more glaciers. They actually have done this.
I think that they've had. I don't think it's actually happened. I don't think they've actually moved an iceberg into the Persian Gulf.
Well, they're blowing stuff strategically out with explosives and then using the ice for an actual purpose to cool the city because that's hot.
Well, if they want to move the ice in there, I would like to see them move that iceberg into the Persian Gulf.
Well, they have money.
Sometimes the real world sounds more satirical than The Onion.
I would like to see it happen. It would be quite interesting because it would change a lot of weather patterns in that area. It would be interesting to see what the end result would turn into.
Well, it's a small glacier. It's more like an iceberg. It's kind of like Titanic style. Yeah, they risk it.
Well,
yeah, but that much you're grabbing that much ice and that much fresh water, and you're sticking it in that kind of an area. The changes are going to be dramatic across the board.
You wanna know, if I were ever to run as president, this is like completely off topic, but if I were ever to run as president, I think I would focus on the fact that the iceberg that took down Titanic is still out there somewhere, roaming freely, never brought to justice.
The lone well, maybe.
Make that iceberg pay. But you heard it here now. Rat is now decided that he's going to try to invade and take over the United States. We may have to take up arms against this.
What? No. Why do you think we got so much global warming and pouring all this CO2 into the air? We need to get that glacier. I will bring
the iceberg that took down the Titanic into Guantanamo Bay.
That would be interesting, trying to bring it into the Caribbean as well. That would change some interesting patterns as well.
Yeah, but could you waterboard it?
If you freaking brought a big enough piece of ice and you stuck it in the Caribbean, that would basically kill the Gulf Stream, all right, into Europe. You would probably set off an ice age.
Let's not do that.
This was your plan.
No. See, no.
Wait a minute here, Rat. This was your plan, wasn't it?
Look at that glacier, man. It's not that big. It's just a small iceberg. And tugboats are powerful, man.
But if you start lowering temperatures across the board like that, who knows what would happen to the.
But dude, it's so hot out there, and if you have that much money, like, why wouldn't you?
You would be putting more fresh water in the area. It would decrease the salt content dramatically. It
more
would be
potable drinking water.
Well, for Florida, yeah, that's great for Florida. But if you trigger an ice age, I think Europe would suck.
MC. No, it would sound like folks that were first splitting the atom. Come on, what could go wrong?
No, it'd be great. You could film a live action Ice Age. It'd be fucking awesome.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like film of like life, like reenactment of the Titanic or something. Because like
I'm calling Sid.
Oh, can I have the UK?
He wanted to play Sid in the movie. You want a whole country. Yeah, you could have the UK. It'll be a giant ice rink.
Well, no, it's Airstrip 1. There's a lot of landing area.
See what you caused, Rat? This is all your fault.
But I think we need to revisit the question that Nadoj asked if it would be possible to waterboard the iceberg.
What kind of information are we planning to get from it?
Well, we need to know where the other ice cells are.
So we need to extract knowledge from it. See, I was looking for that old message in a bottle that lead me to 10,000 gold pieces.
And also, I also want to know why the mountain has so much against immigrants.
The mountain from Game of Thrones.
It killed.
You weren't diverse enough. You didn't have enough Muslims.
It killed hundreds of them, and it has ice in its name. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, you were talking about Frozen H2O. I thought you were talking about Gregor Clegane.
Oh no.
Okay, so now that Cabby joined us, I think it's a perfect time to move into the next topic, because I think waterboarding the iceberg will just melt it. Now that I think about it, probably won't work. So I don't think we can get anything out of the iceberg.
No, it's the solution to the space elevator. The space elevator will glide across the surface via the lubrication of the iceberg, thereby providing a nice, gentle, cool breeze across the work.
Yeah.
But the last topic I really want to talk about is sounds like there's going to be more free Tommy Robinson protests in London this weekend. A bunch of activists went out in the middle of the night and posted flyers all over the place and stuff like that. It seems to really be starting to hit a real peak here. Is there any way that the people of your government, which is now falling apart, which I want to touch upon as well, are actually going to listen and free Tommy and do a Brexit? Or is Theresa May going to be replaced soon? Because even Boris left. You know, shit's getting bad when Yeltsin leaves.
Maddox, don't you remember? I predicted all of this when they failed to institute Article 50. I predicted all of this on Ogre's channel, going way back when. I said, this is what they're doing, this is what's going to happen. I even predicted the general election. I said, then there'll be another one, which is going to then drag it on. They're going to do everything they can to stymie it. Then they'll give us a shit deal, and we'll have to come back cap in hand in about 5 to 10 years, and then beg to rejoin, and we'll have to give up our currency to do it, and we'll have to join the euro.
I have
it all on record.
I know that, but I have a prediction here. From the outside looking in, here's my prediction. Boris Yeltsin left strategically. He is going to fight for Theresa May's job. Theresa May is going to lose that
Boris
fight.
Yeltsin? You mean Boris Johnson? Yeltsin is Russian.
Hold on. What
Johnson. Yeah, Boris, the funny hair guy. Whatever. Sorry, my bad.
I thought you were being freaking snide. You were
I was.
Like,
no, not you.
He got it right the first time, and then he memed it twice.
Yeah, I messed up. My bad. But fuck off, okay? Like you can name all the American politicians. Fuck you, Cab.
No,
you know you can't.
No, but the thing is, I know the difference between a fucking Russian leader and an American leader.
Hey,
I'm sorry. I don't. You're all Europeans. Ooh, I said that.
Wait, hold on.
So where do you think America came from, you dick?
Boris Yeltsin might return from the grave in order to take over the UK.
Wait, hold on.
Watch out, Rat. I just poked the cabbage. The cabbage is
defrost him.
Oh no, he's all wilty and everything. So no, but here's the thing. Is it bad that when you said Boris Yeltsin, I thought you were talking about the Prime Minister of Israel?
Oh my God!
Yahoo?
No.
Yeltsin and Yahoo, it's all the same.
No, one of the older ones.
He's trying to stretch a point. He's just looking for attention.
I'm a terrible Jew. Leave me alone.
Just
okay, I'm just gonna use first name. So merry old Boris fucking left. Right? He ditched her. Is he gonna try and get her job? If he does, is he going to do a hard Brexit and get the fuck out?
Well, this is I don't trust Boris anyway, because people forget that at the very beginning he was a Remainer. He thought that it was probably a better idea to remain. Then he went on to the Brexit camp when he saw that that's the way that the people were going. So he is not exactly what you call a die-in-the-cast leader anyway.
So he's a populist.
Exactly.
He's an opportunist.
Oh, exactly. Opportunist is a much better word.
He's a popular opportunist.
So I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him in regards to this. And if you actually look what happened with Theresa May with the Friday Agreement that they tried to do, Boris, said it was a turd, and if you tried to do this, you'd be polishing a turd. And then he suddenly fell into line and said that he was going to back it anyway. So the guy does not exactly have the levels of integrity that people associate with him. I mean, he's a happy-go-lucky, chappy. I mean, he's one of those fun people, and he's kind of a character. But I wouldn't trust him with. I didn't trust him as foreign minister. I don't think he should really be a cabinet member. I mean, he's for a good panel member, on a quiz show or something. But he's not a statesman.
But
a bit of a clown.
Cabbage, he's so endearing. When I watched that
Yeah, but
video
he's
of
a
him playing
clown.
rugby and tackling that small Asian child, I was very endeared to him. He reminds me of the goofy uncle archetype.
Yeah, he just likes to molest Asian children, apparently.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, no, it's only, you know,
Cabbage, you are not running for Prime Minister of the UK. It's okay.
No, but the thing is that, I mean, Boris is the one that people are really sort of pushing for. I mean, Jacob Rees-Mogg, I think, would be more statesmanlike, I think, but he's not really in a position to do anything. And also with his Enoch,
I thought he endorsed Boris.
Which he does, but that's the thing. He always endorses everybody. He still endorses Theresa May, which is, again, you know, it's amazing that the very people who are saying that this is a crock of shit that they were asked to sign are now coming out and saying, well, we really have to stand behind the Prime Minister and see this thing through. It's like, no, this is not the way that it is meant to go. It's insane.
You mean
it's a
they thought they
disaster
glossed
in the making.
over and she didn't? And now they're having second thoughts?
I think they are just spineless cunts. You know, when Margaret Thatcher was in power, she used to call, like, members of, there was a certain group, a sect of the cabinet that she called the Wets, right? And they were all the, you know, the public school boys, the ones who were back scratching and all the rest of it. I mean, now it's inverted. You got the women doing it to the men. Sorry, the men doing it, you know, to each other. It's bizarre.
Wait,
absolutely bizarre.
That sounds like misogyny.
Well,
okay.
It's misandry, I guess, because it's a woman in charge.
Here's another angle, because I do believe that they're going to try and remove Theresa May. Do you think UKIP will have a rise and they'll just do the hard Brexit?
No, I think it's going to become an absolute fucking mess because there's no... I mean, UKIP can't become a significant party. It just doesn't have the traction anywhere in the country. It doesn't have any MPs. You know, there's no members of... They can't really... I mean...
Well, are you sure? Because, you know...
To push forwards. They can't do anything.
They now have Count Dankula and Sargon and Paul Joseph Watson on their side, and that might do a huge difference.
Yeah, no, it won't.
Okay, I mean, so they get one MP, right? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe
you guys are missing the sly look on that face.
I think you and tell me if I'm wrong about this, but an MP is someone from a local district that is they get the most votes, correct? So it's going to go by district by district.
Is local. Exactly, it's a district-based, you know, kind of thing. You have your local MP, rather like your, you know, your senators and your congressmen. You know, they're based on a particular geographic region.
Unlike certain other ones where whoever gets certain percentages and then it's doled out, the MPs are doled out by the percentages of votes, like certain other parliamentary systems.
No. Oh yes, in Europe, yeah, because they work on proportional.
Right. Some European nations have a different parliamentary system. All right. I don't know which ones. I think Italy is like that, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
Most of them are PR in Europe. They go by proportional representation. That's why their systems are so fucked up.
So in order for UKIP to actually put somebody in there, they would have to win a local election, right? To have an MP at all.
They'd have to have a majority of the local district that would vote for them. Yeah.
Well,
and unfortunately, but I mean, you know, Sargon. People talk about Sargon and, you know, Paul Joseph Watson things. Yeah, they have a lot of people that support them around the world. But I'd love to see what actual proportion of their subscribers are British, because I know they have, you know, a fair proportion of them are going to be American, New Zealanders, Australian, you know, Canadian. There's going to be people from all over the place. So when you actually look at the number of people that are going to be from Britain to begin with, and then in their local area, I mean, what direct effect is going to have? I don't see it. It's a piss in the ocean.
I totally agree with you. No, personally, I don't see... Like, I think it would be naive of them and naive of people to believe that just because Count Dankula joined UKIP, then a majority of his fans is going to...
Yeah, suddenly Scotland is going to vote for the, you know, for the UKIP or something. It's fucking ridiculous.
Like, okay,
you know?
for me, it's like, yeah, I like Count Dankula. but him joining UKIP doesn't make me like UKIP very much.
Exactly. No, I mean, this is the whole point. Their personalities joining UKIP. If I'm going to be engaged with UKIP, I don't give a shit about them. I care about the policies of UKIP. The fact that they might happen to follow them might make me look into the policies, more readily. But it's not going to change my perspective on the actual policies themselves. You know what I mean?
So they're kind of using their platform, but as long as the policies are good, I mean, like, that's positive, because if you have good policy and a big microphone, like, that seems useful.
Yeah, but who actually has the stones then to do a hard Brexit? Because it sounds like Theresa May's plan is to pussyfoot around the issue.
Yeah, but well, I mean, a true Brexit. I mean, this is the problem: is whether or not you're talking about an actually mature proposed separation of Europe, so that we can maintain a decent trading relationship, like going back to the form of the common market or something. Or whether they are going to act like little bitches, reject everything because they think that eventually we're going to have to come back in the fold anyway.
So what if they do? Just reinstate the Commonwealth the way it's supposed to be, and you're good.
Well, the common market is all we originally signed up to back in the 1970s. And that was just basically, open market free trade agreement between
I'm talking about your
the European countries.
I'm talking about your Commonwealth, your holdings. You start trading with Canada more. You start trading with Australia more. You keep it in-house.
But that's the problem, you see. The agreement that Theresa May was looking to sign up to, this crazy shit she came out with on Friday, would have actually prevented us from doing that. I mean, that's the very thing that the UKIP people and, the Brexiteers were saying is, well, Europe may be a big market, but we have much larger markets available externally.
It's not like
so
useful.
Yeah, so we were looking more external. Europe is still trying to look at retaining its, protections and everything. So, I mean, but what she's looking to sign into will prevent us from reclaiming and the thing is, I don't know how many of the Commonwealth countries will want us back in again, in a way, because, we kind of let them with
the Crown getting involved in this at all?
I don't, no, because they can't. I mean, they should, but they won't. Because at the end of the day, I can't believe that the Queen hasn't been involved since like I said, the change from the common market into the European Economic Community. I mean, that was a massive giveaway of sovereignty. Well, I mean, surely the sovereign should have stepped up and had a little bit of a peep about it, saying,
wait, hold on, we were talking about this the other day. Like, so what happens if UKIP goes under there? What happens if they and some other smaller parties get something? And what happens if a coalition government can't be formed? Like, isn't that like one of the few points where the Queen has to step in? If there was a strange tradition that I'm not really familiar about.
No, this is the whole point about first past the post. And we've had coalition governments. In fact, in recent times, we've had more coalition governments than ever in history.
Well, this one is a coalition.
Well, no, but we've had the Social Democrats had to be in, we had to do that. And I mean, coalitions are becoming, and that's the point, they're trying to get us into this like proportional representation, rather like the European Union, which is why it worries me, these more and more parties, because the more parties you have, the more likely you are to go to proportional representation, which is, kind of worrying. But there is no way that Labour and the Conservatives are going to get any kind of majority. It will be on the fringe groups, but general elections are not the same as referendums. So UKIP can get, look what it did. It had something like 1.5 million votes or something in one of the elections, and it got one member of parliament. It's just totally disproportionate to their actual number of votes overall, but they didn't get them in the places they needed to have them.
Oh, okay.
They didn't have the votes.
It's kind of like Hillary Clinton's 3 million extra votes in California.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, the populist votes don't count. The Electoral College is, it's first past the post system, so it doesn't matter. It becomes irrelevant. That's why I say all UKIP's going to do is dilute the vote.
Yeah, we have a system like that in Norway as well, whereas the people living in the northern parts of Norway, there are so few people living there that their votes count basically twice as much as the people in Oslo, which is our capital. I think it's interesting though, because in the last election we had an election last year. The incumbent government, all of the parties lost support, and they got fewer votes than the left. And the day after, our prime minister came out and said that this is a sign that the Norwegian people want our policies.
Yeah. It's a sign.
So what you're saying, Rad, is you need to move to northern Norway so your vote counts more. we were just talking about this, about shipping folks around and moving, and I don't know, it kind of bothers me.
My vote still counts more than the people of Oslo, but it counts less than the people in the part we call Finnmark. So, you know, yeah.
One of the big problems which is happening now, because we've got London, which is a totally disproportionate amount of the voting bloc. It's, you know, most of the people have been displaced out of London. We now know that it's, what, 45% actually British, technically, you know, like first generation, I mean, like, you know, multiple generation British. So you have these weird, the cities have kind of displaced an awful lot of people, and they have an inordinate influence on the voting system. And that's the reason I don't think this is going to end up very nicely. I do foresee, when people say, you know, where do you think it's going to come down to, the election or something, down to people actually getting on the, very nasty. I've seen it before on numerous occasions in British history in my lifetime, and I think that's the only way that the politicians are truly going to get, you know, get the message. That it always seems to be the case. They don't get the message until suddenly there's police cars, you know, upside down burning. It's ridiculous. And then they just impose temporary, you know, respite, and they actually have to do something that you told them to.
But the truth is,
I know it's not. Yeah, well, it's not a happy message, I'm afraid, but that's the way that I see it. I really.
But
do.
Cabbage, people don't like bad news unless it's about people they don't like.
Yeah. Well,
it's true. Weirdly enough.
It's. Well, sometimes you got to point out the obvious.
I'm sorry, MD. I broke it again.
Also, I just want to jump in and say that I don't really have anything to say about the Tommy Robbins and stuff, because I haven't been following the case. I don't like him. I am not sure if I don't really know what the situation is past that he has been jailed for filming outside of a court. But I'm like, yeah, so I'm not gonna get too much into that part of the debate, by the way.
I don't like the principle of like what it seems like was happening. It's like to go to jail for, I get it, like he was on like a parole violation technically. It seems very sketchy. I've heard his side of the story. I really haven't heard other folks' side of the story. But I mean, it seems like a form of protest. It's like chain yourself to a tree or like someone getting arrested. So it is a form of protest. But
what I heard about it was that he was explicitly told that you are not allowed to do this while you're on parole, and then he did that, and the reason why he is getting punished is because he broke the rules of his parole.
That's correct. And I believe the principle behind what he's doing, kind of like the whole like free speech or like freedom of the press, like I support those things, man. And it's like, it really seems like folks are just outgunning with him. It doesn't seem like he's getting a fair shake. I can dislike some of the things he said in the past and probably some of the things he's saying now, but it's like the principle of the thing, it's like I put myself in his shoes. I'm like, if I was in a similar situation, if I was doing something like that, would I want to go to jail or potentially get fucked? And the answer is no.
But what was his actual action? In the United States, there's no way he would ever have gotten arrested for that. That's the issue.
But MC, he's on Airstrip 1. I mean, the UK.
Well, I mean, but the thing is if you are got a freaking cell phone camera in your hand and you're picturing people while you're on public streets going in and out of a public building, which in the United States, of course, every judicial judicial area
was razzing a couple of those folks, like they were going in, they were trying to cover their. See, that's where I think technically, kind of like whatever their kind of gag law is potentially trying to influence it. The sheer fact he's asking folks, "Oh, are you in jail for this and this?" It's like, I think that was where it may have crossed the line. How it was reported, if it was reported by the judge who was ruling on the case, it's like, is he the one? It kind of goes back to the Count Dankula. It's like, how did some people get offended?
Hold on. But before you get to that, you've got to sit up there and also defend the fact that they put a blackout on the press to even report this stuff.
I think they usually do that, though. Like, it's not a common
and that right there is already so wrong. It's unbelievable.
Well, I believe it wouldn't be easier just to, like, I don't know, shackle them up in a hotel. Not shackle them up, but put them up in a hotel.
What?
No, here's the thing, though. The British are equally as disdainful of our press coverage than we are of their press blackouts. They believe that we have tainted courts, that the press covers everything so much and makes you guilty in the public opinion area, to where you can't have a clean jury. You can't have a clean case, which I disagree with. Look at OJ. In the press, OJ was guilty, guilty, guilty. He was found innocent. Therefore, their argument is invalid. But that is their argument.
He was found not guilty. That is correct. And it's just, well, but the thing is, let's face it, like, let's take a look at the point of that thing, which I'm not sure it even comes to that. But if accusations are made very often, like, that buries people, man. Because you think about it, if it's a serious accusation and everyone's trying to steamroll it, even if you didn't do it, man, like, I don't know, like, a lot of folks getting attacked for so much, dude. Like, a lot of folks can't deal with that. Like, they're not good.
Look at the reaction and look at the reaction today. Now, I'm going to be real blunt. I don't know if this guy is guilty or not, but LaShawn McCoy basically got accused of beating his girlfriend and his child and a dog. Right? And there was pictures that were posted. All right, and this all came out on Twitter, not from her, but supposedly from her friend, that says, you're a piece of shit, and they're doing this, and everybody's up in arms and everything. Now, the reality is we don't know for sure whether or not LaShawn McCoy, all right, is guilty of this. But if it's true, and for the most part, everyone is saying the same thing, which is if everyone it seems to be is willing, whether they're on the left or on the right, all right, are willing to say, look, we understand that this is horrible. And regardless of whether or not he's guilty or not guilty, something horrible is happening here. Because if he's not guilty and he's being accused of this, I mean, this kind of lambasting on his character is horrible as well.
Some people are getting beaten the shit out of, and a fucking dog, dude. Like, if that's true, that's just fucking. It's kind of like if someone gets accused of murder, even if they weren't the murderer, man, like, that still means there's a murderer out there,
right? Well, or like the Duke rape case.
That
was scary. Yeah,
it's also a right of the accused to. I'm sorry, as usual, my English is sort of failing me, but okay, to say it like this, it's not fair to the accused to be judged by popular opinion before he has even gotten a sentence, in the way that, okay, let's say that you get accused of a rape, and then the court decides that we don't have enough evidence to sort of what's the word I'm looking for?
You're not given the benefit of a doubt, more or less. Basically, that will always be a dark cloud reigning over you.
Yeah, like, we don't have enough evidence to sentence you, so you're gonna go free. But yet still someone else has already posted your name and your image and whatever on the internet.
Stigma is the word.
This is the guy that's been raping, and then suddenly you can never ever get a job again. So that's why the European style of judicial services usually don't allow for people to film around courts.
Well, you bring up a really good point, Rack, because here's the thing, like, even if you have false allegations made, even if it ends up coming out like after the fact that like it was all complete, like it was bullshit, you'll always still be known as that rapey dude.
Sometimes that could happen. That is true, but it's not. That's not true of every case.
No, but
it's true of every case in fucking college now. If you're even accused, you're kicked the fuck out.
It depends on the size of the community. You know, if it's a small, tight community, and then all it takes is a little bit of shit, and some of it will stick.
So,
yeah, I mean, if you're in the middle of a city, then you know you can go about your life, and rarely are you going to be recognized. But you can hardly do that, say, in a town or a village.
Let me take this into a sort of an example. Here in Norway, we had a really, really famous sort of rape case that was going on, and most people, including myself, are quite sure that the people accused actually did what they were accused of. But they were found not guilty because the sort of layman judges decided that they didn't see enough evidence for them actually having done it. And the first thing that the victim did after the ruling was that she posted their names on the internet. I can't remember if she also posted their pictures.
Isn't that illegal?
Was there a case, or was it not even tried?
No, there was a case, and they were not the ruling was that they were not guilty. And so after the thing, she posted at least their names and said that these are the guys that raped me. And so
surely if she claimed that they had raped her, then that would go against the court case, which means that she would be slandering them, and they could sue her.
That ended up with them getting a lot of death threats, seeing as almost every person in Norway fucking.
Yeah, but they could have launched a lawsuit in the United States. If that happened, they could have launched a lawsuit against her.
Yeah,
all right,
they were. I can't remember if they ended up suing her, but they were talking.
Well, no, it's written, so it'd be libelous, wouldn't it? Which is even better.
I don't know which one's which.
Well, libel's better because it's written. You know, you got a hard record of it. Slander can sometimes be.
It wasn't just a word out of your mouth in a moment of passion. You had the wherewithal to write it and publish it.
Yeah. So.
But my point is at least that. I'm not sure if they ended up suing her for that, but they were talking about it.
No, damn well should, because this is one of the problems and the reasons that these things keep coming is because the women get away with it, and the court should naturally sue. I mean, it should be an immediate response by the courts. Anyone who does a frivolous case should automatically be sued for costs.
Well, this wasn't necessarily a frivolous case.
I must correct you, Cabbage. It's not all women. Because we must remember there was a case where a gentleman and a young lady, they end up getting drunk and they had relations. And I guess the word was like this particular gal at one point had accused another one of this individual's friends. So out of basically in response to what he thought was coming, he filed charges first, utilizing Title IX. And now she's out there.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Bullshit. Fuck him too. Yeah, anyone who abuses the legal system, I don't care what their gender, what transgender, whatever the fuck they call themselves. Yeah, they should be.
Well, that was a legal system.
That whole case goes into my point of.
No, but that's the point we're at, man, dude. If people are doing this like because they're afraid it's going to happen to them, and they're doing it like as a I'm going to go after you before you go after me. Like that's a bad place to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but as I was going to say that. What she did there was no better than posting pictures of them during the trial and saying that, oh, these are the sort of rapists, and that's my point.
No, that's not true, because during the trial it could have influenced the outcome. If it was afterwards, like I said, then it becomes a legal case that that's liable. We've just been you know, we haven't
But
been
that's
convicted.
why if a judge is worried about it influencing the jury, he can sequester the jury. Why not sequester the jury?
Exactly.
Why do you
I
need
hear
to
there's a
go to
lot
these
of
other things?
unoccupied housing in the UK right now, so I don't think there's an excuse.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, but my point is that, like I said, I don't really know enough about the Tommy Robinson case, like specifically to really. But what I know is that the way to sort of skew the public opinion, okay, it might not result in anything with the case itself, but it might actually have very harmful consequences for the people.
I agree with what you're saying.
Well,
but the problem is right now is what's happened is for the longest time, the governments that have been in charge of this have been the only ones being able to manipulate the press. And they've been manipulating it in such a way to get the results that they wanted all right. And this goes for all, when I say Western press, in this case, I'm including the United States, I'm including Western Europe. All right. And I'm including obviously Great Britain as well. All right. That is what's been shattered. Okay. So now people are saying, wait a minute, we can't trust you guys. We can't trust the mainstream media or the press with that goes along with the government, all right, to tell us the truth about what's going on.
Oh, mate, look at it now with the Brexit thing. I mean, we can't even trust them to negotiate on our behalf in good faith. I mean, it just gets worse and worse.
It sounds like there's a lot of problems, and it's like, well, like there are problems and like are there solutions? A lot of people might not necessarily always like solutions, but it almost kind of sounds like a bunch of folks are just going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And are they kind of trying to sweep stuff under the rug? I don't know. Is that even?
Yeah, but no. I mean, this is the point. The people. Well, I mean, they're trying to do that, but because there is alternative media, that they're not getting away with it anymore, like they used to be able to. You know that. I mean, otherwise, things like the case that Tommy Robinson was covering wouldn't have got any coverage at all. You know, there would have been no coverage.
That is also, I think, one of the other justifications why a lot of folks are saying what Tommy was doing, because it seems like there's been problems that are coming to light more recently. It's like, I get there's always problems, but it's like if you have your elected officials, the folks that are in charge of public safety and whatnot, and they're actively ignoring major issues or issues that at some point could become a major issue, and they're knowingly just looking the other way, like, that's fucked, man.
Oh, no. It's worse than that, meme. I mean, if it was just that, looking the other way, but they actually put a gag order on that entire court case.
Right, to prevent people from knowing about a grooming gang.
Yes, they actually.
That's what I was referring to when I first brought it up, and I was saying,
have they done it in similar controversial trials? Like
yes.
Like not just in this specific context, but like
this is the thing.
As long as they're doing it equally,
but no. This is the thing. Means when this thing was first created as gagging order, they said that it would not be abused, right? That it would only be used in the most rarest of cases, and then they started throwing it around like fucking confetti whenever there was anything slightly remotely inconvenient.
And Tommy Robinson, by the way, under national security, right? Wasn't that what they said that they were creating it for?
Well, it wasn't national security because that would indicate it was something potentially military. I think they said it was about social maintaining the social cohesion or something. I think that's the usual garbage terms that they're going to throw out.
It sounds good, but let's face it, guys. I mean, no human being would ever be a hypocrite.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, that the stuff with Tommy was that he didn't actually report anything. The stuff he reported, if you actually watch what he was doing outside of that,
he did a similar thing to kind of.
If you see what he, look, can I just finish a sentence? If you see what he said outside the court, you can see him. All he's doing is reading from the BBC website. He is actually reading stuff which has already been announced, right? So it wasn't influencing the decisions that were going on in the court.
He was being
hang on. The people who were being called in were there to actually to have their sentence read to them. Their sentence. The decisions had already been made. So nothing that Tommy reported at that point could in any way, shape, or form influence the actual sentencing of those people.
So it was just the reading of the verdicts.
Reading of the sentence, not the verdicts were already in.
Yeah, the verdict was in and the sentence had to be announced. That's
The
it.
trial had been
Then-
concluded with the exception of the recitation of the actual like verdict that had been submitted.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
so
it.
what it was doing couldn't have affected the outcome of the case at all.
Thank you. That's the point I was just making.
Oh, why didn't you just
Yeah,
say
but
that?
Yes.
isn't it what he was
Well,
originally
this is what I
charged
did.
for?
If you
I
fucking
mean,
listened instead of talked.
Fair enough.
Well, then it is retarded that he was jailed for it.
Yes, it is. And this is the thing. You see that people have seen it and they saw it live happening and everyone knew that it was bullshit. And this is the problem that they have because the mainstream media weren't covering it. I mean, they eventually had to, but then they could spin it and put some narrative over the top. But the people who are actually watching it live saw what was going on. You know, and so, and this is the problem that they got, that they have lost control over any of the real narratives these days. That's why they've lost the Brexit issue. That's why the freedom of speech thing is coming out so much. We have demonstrations every month now, all around different cities and, you know, around the UK regarding freedom of speech and Brexit. Now, Tommy Robinson comes into it, but you can't conflate Tommy Robinson with Brexit or anything else, right? I mean, freedom of speech, certainly. But you know what I mean? He's not a poster child or anything like that.
He holds a line for many people of just a certain, I think, angst with the current situation.